This whole thing has been a joke, and I'm the fucking punchline for watching it. Now, the big boy show. This is everybody knows what Jubilee is. It is time to partake of the Uncle Sam. Sam Seder went on this Jubilee panel. I'm going to be playing this probably at 1.2 times speed because it's already an hour and a half long. I'm going to do what I can basically to get through it at a pace that I can. Let's do some of this. And, you know, from what limited, like, thumbnails, titles, whatever, reactions I've seen to this, we're in for a treat. We're in for a wild ride. Jubilee, the YouTube channel that thinks the middle ground is always the best decision. They don't actually have any real political beliefs. They are content pilled, and that is their only value. That's the only thing they care about. Wait, this is straight. Hold up. Nice. But, you know, this is a bunch of, I think I kind of respect that. I don't. It sure as hell works as a business model, but I don't respect them. Because it's like, why, yes, we will enable fascism. Fuck you, actually. How about, have you considered that one? The rare fuck you option. The nuclear option. Alright. Are our brains about to get cooked? Yes. But Sam Seder will be there with us the whole time. His brain is also going to get a little bit cooked, but he is going to give us immense schadenfreude from, you know, publicly owning Trump supporters and MAGA. You claim to hate socialism, yet you love humiliation rituals in which you are publicly owned. Curious.
Like, what's the problem with xenophobic nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans in general?
To
Like,
be xenophobic,
yes.
nationalism is better.
We should have a coherent culture. Everyone should.
All right, we're starting off strong, and by strong I mean extremely retarded.
Be a part of this new culture.
Which, do you get to choose what the culture is?
We already have a dominant culture.
I mean, look, I gotta be honest with you, like, you and I have a fundamental disagreement.
Also, keep in mind, when any of these motherfuckers say culture, what they mean is race. Very nice. Get that nice 4 of a kind.
We will never.
Like, I've heard these arguments before. I'm not a stranger to them. Let me actually, might be a nice idea to, well, audio. Put the game volume down to 50. I know I wasn't, how is that? That should be good. I'll set this down to, let's see, 50 and 40. That should be good. So I'll be able to have my headphones down a little bit. Bro the Boss, hello, welcome. Originally I was planning on playing Mario Kart today, but Retro Rewind was not working. Like, literally everything I tried, it just crashed my Wii U, so I can't play Mario Kart on stream anymore. Like, that's just it. My Wii U isn't launching. Retro Rewind isn't launching. It doesn't work on Wii U anymore, so can't do it. But whatever we're doing, I'm doing Balatro today to show that I do have the sauce now. I didn't have the sauce in 2024 when I was reacting to that Call of Duty video. You're gonna get a new one? No, my Wii U works. The Retro Rewind pack doesn't. I can launch the game and play it, but Retro Rewind is the only way for me to play online, and that doesn't work because the update that recently happened was built for Dolphin, and it breaks on Wii and Wii U. And I don't know how to fix it, so. But regardless, irrespective of what we're doing, let's take Venus. we're going to be watching Sam Seder, Uncle Sam, for whom I feel immense patriotism and pride, naturally, be smoking these conservatives at the cookout, as it were.
See eye to eye on this. Hi, I'm Sam Seder, host of the Majority Report, and today I am surrounded by 20 conservatives.
Oh boy. It was so painful to watch. Don't spoil it, by the way. I have not seen this. This is my first time watching it. I need to see this for myself. Oh, okay. Damn, mail-in rebate is a great econ joker, because I just discard the fucking thing by accident and like get money anyways. Fucking don't pay attention. Profit. All right, claim number one. These are, I guess they're doing a format where Sam is going to make a claim, and then they're going to come up to challenge him. He's going to argue his claim.
My first claim is Trump's attack on DEI hides his real goal, which is to give corporations more power.
By the way, this is true. I mean, this is just objectively true. The only reason you would get rid of DEI is if you wanted to enable corporations to discriminate against people, which means they get to effectively just be more militant in keeping workers in line. It is a tale as old as time. You know, whether it's corporations nowadays or like, I don't know, fucking guilds in the Middle Ages or monarchs and whatever the fuck. It's always been like that. 3. I will take the 3. Go! Oh, they're so eager, man.
No worries.
All right. I think I have a slight issue with
These are not Fibonacci cards.
I guess Trump's attacks on DEI being a real goal to, you know, give corporations more power. I'd rather center the conversation around the democratic, you know, especially as conservatives, the issues that people have with DEI and why I believe Trump would, you know, want to support the issues that, you know, people are voting for him for.
I mean, I'm talking about his...
Okay, so I kind of blanked out, but I'm like, that guy just said nothing, basically. This is enough to get me there.
His whole attack on DEI, it's actually DEIA, right? You know that, in government agencies. The A being for accessibility.
Right. Yeah, and
that's true. By the way, in one of the biggest red flags initially, like a lot of people assumed that it was just a virtue signal that Trump was like going after DEI or whatever. And in a way it is, but it's also like, it is also just meant to undercut the power of American workers, what little power they have, so that, like, if they're not all on an even playing field, you can get them much more easily fighting each other rather than fighting against, you know, the bosses, the shareholders, etc., right? The A in DEIA refers to accessibility the same way that, like, the Americans with fucking Disabilities Act would, right? Which, coincidentally, Project 2025 does seek to get rid of. But yeah, ultimately, it's like, yeah, we don't want to have to accommodate fucking minorities or disabled people or some shit like that. How many of any of these cards? I don't have many 4s. I do have 7s, so let's get that out of there. Cool. Nice.
I think
you know that.
Yeah, we don't want to stop conflict. That'll create unions. If we provide any, like, extremely basic accommodation or legal protections for workers, that will enable them to challenge us in the future, which we do not want. I need another Joker. It's not great, but I'll take
it. Government agencies, the A being for accessibility.
Right. Yeah, and I think the attack on DEI isn't an attack on people's protections. It's on the other.
No, it is. It literally is. Like, it's the fucking same thing that drove companies to, like, do racist propaganda in the 50s and 60s. Like, none of the bosses, none of these billionaires principally give a single shit about race, except for insofar as it serves their, like, the accumulation of wealth in their hands, like line going up and shit, you know?
They're on the other end of the spectrum, right? Wanting to end DEI doesn't want to end protections for someone being disabled, someone being...
That's what DEI is. DEI stands for diversity, equity, inclusion. This gets lost in the discourse, again, because DEI is scary and you can say, like, it's the N-word or some shit. DEI is just meritorious hiring practices. It's literally just like, yeah, you're not allowed to just, like, hire the fucking... Ooh, that makes sense. You're not just allowed to, like, hire the boss's son and, like, exclusively employ Nepo babies, right? Like, you can't fucking do that. I'm not discarding threes. I don't care what the game tells me. Nice. In fact, DEI, despite how much the Republicans and the far right have tried to associate DEI with race, it has surprisingly little to do with race. In fact, some of the biggest beneficiaries of DEI are, like, white people. Just random-ass white people. Let's turn you into a 3. DEI was able to get away with racism because it's a program. No, what? DEI isn't racism. In fact, by law, DEI is supposed to be race neutral. And it's not like that anti-racist shit either. It's like, it's not like even necessarily the people will say it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a program that helps anybody ever in the workplace, so they hate it. How many 4s do I have left? Not many. Same thing with 2s. Keep them 5. Or not. There's the 5 of a kind. It helps meritocracy thrive. Yes, it does. But conservatives fucking hate meritocracy because it means that if a black person has enough gumption, then they could earn a spot in the workforce. Same thing with the undocumented migrant. And then the corporations are all the sickos looking in through the window like, haha, yes, because they fucking want the workers to be fighting amongst each other. Anyways, I've spent too much time on that.
It rather wants to de-incentivize corporations to push them to hire these people on unfair bases, right?
Okay, but DEIA
Right.
is not about quotas or anything like that. It is about protections for people within these organizations, or to make sure that you have different communities that have the opportunity to apply to these things.
Right.
So it can mean, within government agencies, it means things like, let's pay interns so that not only wealthy people can have their kids do internships in these agencies.
Right.
Or let's put out notices around
But yeah, there you go. So exactly what Sam is saying.
different parts of town.
Every Republican confuses meritocracy with affirmative action. Yeah, and you'd think Republicans would fucking love affirmative action because the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action are white women. Then again, they do hate women, so maybe that's why.
Town,
Sure.
metaphorically speaking, so that people know this job exists.
And this is where it begins, but this isn't the ultimate goal that conservatives have an issue with. Conservatives don't have an issue with trying to spread job applications to poorer communities.
Well,
So
then
everyone...
Yes, they do. They actually do. Conservatism is all about hierarchy, which means keeping poor people submissive, subservient, and basically in the station of slaves. Yeah. It's all just because of that. And for all these people, I don't doubt that, like, he might actually believe some of the shit that he's been sold, right? But, the people who sold it to him don't believe that shit. You know?
I rescind DEIA requirements in government agencies.
Because the problem with DEIA is there may not be, like, perceived actual number quotas, but that's what it devolves into, and especially with
Do
corporations,
you have the evidence of that?
I mean, sure.
No. Quotas are illegal. No company is doing that. In fact, quotas actually can undercut the ability of companies to fucking, like, make their bottom line, right? Quotas are the last fucking thing that companies would want to do if your objective is to get as much profit as possible, which is what the objective of any and every company is. In fact, there are some people speculating that when DEI is gone, they'll replace it with a quota system. DEI is actually anti-quotas because, again, it's just like meritorious hiring. Like, you know, there may be some provisions which in a way I actually agree with. It's like, yeah, okay, you're not allowed to, like, sometimes they blur out the name of the person or whatever because there are certain things where, like, oh, you know, some people might accidentally just choose somebody with a more white sounding name or some shit like that. There are subtle ways in which it's able to, like, actually pretty effectively combat those biases and shit, but they're really, really, like, benign and so straightforwardly, like, sensical and, like, commonsensical that you would literally, if you were to abandon it and do something else, it would be a worse system, probably relying on quotas. Like, that would be it. Let's keep the queens. I want to find those threes. There's one. I need timed multi.
Sure, we can look at corporations that are government agencies that are hiring people on not true, proper bases. We can even look at.
I mean,
we can even look at.
Citation needed, of course, but, you know.
Do you have any evidence that that's happening?
Yeah, even the.
Oh yeah, there we go.
DNC's nomination of Kamala as president this year. There was no reason to nominate Kamala as.
Joe Biden named Kamala Harris as the person that he wanted to be the president. They used the fact that she was a black woman as a shield to insulate her from any criticism from the left, but they were all too willing to accept criticism from the right. And ultimately, the reason that Kamala Harris was the nominee was that, like, Joe Biden was like, yeah, I want Kamala to be at the head of things. And Joe Biden was the fucking president. When the president says, I want this person to be my political successor and run for president, that's an enormous amount of sway and power. Imagine, like, a political party saying, yeah, Lamau, no. You know?
She wasn't democratically selected. She didn't go through a single primary. None of these things.
So you're saying that Kamala was the vice president of the United States after the president drops out 2 months before the convention. You think that's a DEI
She wasn't
hire?
Every presidential nominee is democratically selected to be the nominee for that
Do
party,
you realize
except
there were
for
not
Kamala
even
Harris.
primaries prior to 1972
Well,
in
sure,
the Democratic
but this
Party?
isn't before 1972.
Well, I understand, but what did you think you were going to run primaries in those 2 months? I mean, Joe Biden should have dropped out 3 years ago.
Well, sure, but even before, when Kamala was running in primaries, she wasn't the next man up. None of this. She wasn't the next person.
She was the vice president,
right? Of course, but she wasn't in.
He corrected himself to say the next person as opposed to the next man. Woke. This guy is DEI pilled right now. Do I want to play the full house or no? I want to go for the four of a kind, I think. Maybe I'll play this full house. Or will I? Okay. Alright, what do we got? Let's just play this.
Primaries.
Detail. But listen, aside from, I would have might have wanted a different candidate as well. But that has nothing to do with Trump rescinding orders that basically say you need to search for a wide range of candidates, not necessarily give any different benefits, but you need to make sure different communities have access to the awareness of this job. You need in your office accessibility for people who have physical handicaps.
Sure.
If you have folks who identify as as trans, you need to make it at least hospitable and not. This is all non-discriminatory stuff.
Yeah, it literally a lot of DEI policies is just like, how do we, like, codify in the workplace the laws that are already on the books that you can't, like, literally discriminate against black people and disabled people and whatever because, like, you felt like it, you know? Like, that's a lot of what this is. Not finding anything good, you know? Feel like it's discriminatory against my transphobia. That's true. Yeah, conservatives are all about freedom if it means they get to discriminate against people. They hate it when you don't discriminate against people. What are most of my 3s? Hearts? Okay. If I find a non-heart 3. Not one of those. Not one of those either. Alright, great. I'll just play this.
That's what this is all about.
Hot take, schools should teach about positive and negative freedom. Yeah, true. I think I agree. I think there's not enough sociological or philosophical education in schools, and there's actually too much career and technical education. I think that, like, it's fine if you want to have career and tech education in schools and stuff, but legitimately, I think that they are overemphasizing tech and, like, STEM, and they are underemphasizing, they are de-emphasizing too much the importance of understanding the world in a philosophical and like critical sense. And of course, I've explained that that's not an accident. You know? Let's strengthen these. Make it easier to hit 5 of a kind. Come on, man. Give me something. Fuck it. I'll take Space Joker at this point. Wait, actually... I'll take this instead of the mail-in rebate. I had to learn my philosophy from Discord, Lamau. Yeah, I only learned philosophy from one class in college and from watching Vosh, which is a fucking embarrassing sentence to say, but that's how little philosophical education there was in school. They just don't teach you that shit. Straight up. That's a flush 5. Let's go. Learn philosophy through trial and error.
Cherry picking the portions of
what you're witnessing right now is actually a consequence of how bad the American education system is. Also, I really need a times mult joker. Like, it's not even funny anymore.
DEI that even conservatives don't have issues. Conservatives don't have issues with making workplaces.
The whole DEI apparatus within our government was a function of doing exactly what I said. Had nothing to do with quotas.
It is unfortunate that those things get taken out, and there might not have been specific numerical quotas.
What else was he trying to take out with it?
It's trying to take out people getting jobs that don't deserve those jobs. People getting.
There you have it. That's the underlying position of any and every conservative, is that fundamentally they just believe, well, some people have a decent quality of life that don't deserve it. Some people don't deserve to have a good life, actually. Like, that's it. Give me more 3s. Almost. That's better. Yeah.
Getting pushed into positions they have no qualifications.
There is no evidence of what you just said happening in these government agencies.
That's not true. I mean, we're not allowed to sit here and have notes and numbers to pull up.
Everything is a... Tasty Dark Nuts, welcome to chat. Yeah, everything is a conspiracy when you don't know jack shit about anything. Also, this guy's like, there's, like, you know...
Up for you, you can't,
Give me
you know...
What?
That's not true. I mean, I'm not qualification.
There is no evidence.
There's no... Yeah, Sam Cedar is correct when he says there's no evidence of any of this. And then the second guy's like, well, I don't have the evidence on me, but I swear it exists, probably.
Just said happening in these government agencies.
That's not true. I mean, we're not allowed to sit here and have notes and numbers to pull up for you. You can't,
Give me one example.
You can't ask me.
Games making it really hard for me to just get these facts. I'll be real. Okay. Stonks.
To pull up numbers when I'm not, I'm not able to sit here and look on a computer for you, but these are
How
problems that conservatives...
Sorry, you've been voted out. Please return to your seat.
Get out of here. Yes, clap for the public humiliation.
See ya.
Okay, so...
Damn, they put woke in my conservatism? That's crazy.
I think the roots issue with DEI isn't what the previous gentleman was trying to point. Conservatives aren't necessarily have issues with those things, like accessibility to people.
This is one thing that gets interesting to me as time goes on, is you'll notice there's, like, conservatives will disagree about the reason that racial, like, that anything that's meant to fix, like, inequality is bad. They'll be like, oh, well, we're not principally against fixing inequality of any sort. And they'll all disagree for what they say are different reasons about, like, DEI or redistributive programs or entitlements or whatever. But all of them, to a man, will agree that the things that we do to fix inequality are bad. They won't agree on why, but they will agree that they are bad. Which means that the underlying position is just that they don't want inequality to be fixed. They think that the very act of that itself is bad. Like, that's the viewpoint there. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, it's the difference between people who know and people who don't. And they're all being strung along by the people who know, and they all don't. But they all arrive at the same position for whatever reason, that coincidentally, anything that is being done or that we could do to fix inequality is a bad thing, actually.
Might need help. The issue is, and I kind of referred to this before, when you have agencies and systems, what tends to happen when you have government overreach, big government, is that agencies and systems get abused. And I think unequivocally, DEI was heavily abused.
Dude, they got the most woke fucking sounding conservatives, which is extremely
practice,
funny. Finally, something I can
theory,
skip.
It's idealistic, which is sure is
Red
fine,
card.
that a lot of people can get behind, but it was abused in a lot of ways. When you have actors, like we're in California right now, when you have actors, white male actors who are being told, we do not want white men, we're not gonna cast any white men, we only want this.
Oh no, the whole reverse racism is actually happening. Actually, there's racism against white men in the industry that is dominated by old white fucks who will literally not hire people for being too Jewish.
This particular kind of gender, race, right? That is an abuse of a system. It's no longer fair, but more about just perpetuating one aspect of, you know, visual, compelling aspects.
Yeah, don't spoil anything.
Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is companies are going to say, well, we want to look the most diverse. Okay, well, and what
we all have the fantasy of being...
That is, it's moral grandstanding. It's that because we have more black women, we sell better soda, like that. I got you. That is not.
Well, that's getting a little far afield from what Trump's DEI orders are. But I can tell you, as somebody who was a sitcom actor in the '90s, I would walk into a room and everybody.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is Sam. Sam is exactly the wrong person to bring up this point to, because Sam is a screen actor and is a member of the Screen Actors Guild. No, I know that's not what they're talking about. What I'm saying is they are saying that, oh no, such and such industry is so racist against white men, when the industry they're talking about is full of white men being racist to other groups because they're trying to sow that conflict within the working class so they can pay them less, you know? Oh no, the movie industry is so racist against white people. Meanwhile, the movie industry, full of old, rich white people with more money than God that are sitting there hand-wringing about, I don't know if we should hire this guy for this movie. He's a little bit too New York, in parentheses, Jewish. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Is like, they'll just make shit up. And again, this is a very liberal coded argument. It's an argument that like, wow, you know, discrimination is bad, guys. But it's discrimination against somebody that's demonstrably not being discriminated against. You know? Start cutting kings. And yeah, again, like, Sam is a member of the Screen Actors Guild. Exactly the wrong person to try to use this argument
Everybody
on.
I would see would look like me. And I was doing a second position, which doesn't even exist anymore, where you do 2 pilots a year. And I was looking around basically every part of television when I was a kid. I was centered in some fashion. It was either this is about my mother, or this is about my father, or someone like me was centered. So, you know, we can argue as to whether or not Hollywood is overcorrected in some fashion. But on a governmental level, the DEI...
Truthfully, though, I actually don't think Hollywood has overcorrected. I think there is, like, in some ways, there is a good, like, amount of representation in Hollywood in an ethnic sense. But this Hollywood is still really, really fucking bad on queer issues and on, like, basically on class narratives and ideological allowance of having socialism in movies, basically, you know? They're basically Hollywood, the best Hollywood ever did, which is, you could say this about a lot of corporations, the best they did was rainbow capitalism.
IA directives that agencies were following.
Can't believe this problem we had with Hollywood. Talk about
following for the past 4
voters?
years. There's nothing, I don't know what you mean by abuse on it, but there was no evidence that it was an affirmative action program in those instances. It was about anti-discrimination. You cannot discriminate against these people, and you want to open up opportunities for a broad swath of people. Again, the internship is like one of the most material things that exist there, where the idea that you need to pay interns. And that's important because you want low-income people to have the same sort of like opportunities to see these things as wealthy people. You know, my kids can maybe afford to do an internship for the summer instead of going and getting a job.
So I think what's happening is we're talking about two different things.
Well,
again,
but I'm talking about Trump's DEIA rescission is a way of basically driving people out of these agencies, making it
you're saying Trump specifically, and I understand why you're saying Trump, but I think the American people.
This is the interesting. This is a chord that gets struck consistently with / against MAGA and like Trump supporters, is that they can handle critique of the Republican Party. They cannot handle critique of Trump.
People as a whole have kind of, and I won't say whole because obviously it's not 100%, but a majority of American people have kind of rejected DEI because
I don't think a majority of Americans know what DEIA is.
That may be the case, but again, my point is we're talking about abuse of a system. What you're talking about is not.
Again, citation needed. Where is the abuse of this system? Like, it's not like all the shit that they're talking about, this abstract abuse of the system is, to them, it's just that the system exists. Again, they can't agree on why fighting inequality is bad. All they agree on is that it's bad. Yeah, the real woke mind virus is whatever the fuck these people are huffing. I can't handle it.
Necessarily what was happening. What people were seeing were, hey, because you're white, you can't do this, and liberals like to do this thing where they create systems and then they create.
Me when I fucking make shit up. What is this? I'll take a chariot, sure. I think it's funny when the Trumpers think that DEI is gonna help, or taking away DEI is going to help a bunch of rednecks. Yeah, like, literally DEI helps, like, poor white people more than it helps, like, middle to upper class black people. Seriously, like I said, with stuff like, what is it? Affirmative action that Republicans always screech about. So the biggest beneficiaries of that are, like, white women. But again, they do fucking hate women, so.
Created the whole idea of woke, and then they backed away, and then conservatives say woke, and then they're like, we don't know what woke is. They created DEI. Biden literally said Kamala Harris is being chosen because she is a black woman, and then all of a sudden, Democrats for the rest after that said that's not why she was chosen, even though Biden literally said that. And then we have this we have this.
Biden never said that, by the way. They just made that shit up, and then they fucking cut to the one, like, the other black guy in the audience there, like, aggressively nodding along.
This cognitive dissonance as if we're not living in reality.
Biden wanted to make sure that there was that there was an opportunity for a black woman to be his vice president.
Yes, but so why did Democrats move away from that?
Okay, yeah, so he said that when she was nominated as vice president. Also, I won't deny that the DNC at large is so bad at messaging that the best they could summon was the fucking, like, it's her turn bullshit. Ooh. I think I get rid of Space Joker for this guy and then skip. Yeah.
And I said no, it wasn't because she was a black woman. So my point is that
it's not because she's a black woman.
But that's what they said. I can agree that it's not because she's a black woman, but that's what they said. Why did they say that then?
No, because there are plenty of black women, right? Like, he could have picked anybody, but he picked specifically her. You're positing the idea that there wasn't a black woman who would have been qualified for that position.
No,
and I don't believe that.
No, that's not. Conservatives aren't saying that there aren't, because again.
Well, that is the underlying position. Again, they can't agree on why X, Y, or Z, but they all agree that X, Y, or Z. Let's just do this.
And even in the Republican Party right now, and in Trump's cabinet, there are.
I think the forerunner of taking away DI was we're a group of Asians that didn't get into Harvard. Say had too many. What? Oh, I remember that lawsuit. I think.
People of color that Democrats pretend don't.
Oh yeah, none of these motherfuckers know either know or care about what happened when Obama was the president. There was plenty of critique to be lobbed at Obama for the shit-ass direction that he took America in. That is to say, no direction at all. Oh, okay, it gave me the achievement for the other gold stake run one. Alright. But it was like, they all were like, no, he puts mustard on his hot dog and wears a tan suit. That's the best they could get. And fundamentally, the reason that Republicans didn't like Obama was just because he was black. He was functionally, he was basically like a Republican president. They just didn't like that about
like
it.
J.D. Vance's wife, and
J.D. Vance's wife is not in the cabinet.
No, but if J.D. Vance was a Democrat, his wife would be lauded all over.
What? Me when I make shit up that isn't happening to get mad. This is what this is too. Like he's literally creating a scenario in his head to get mad at about minorities being like prominent politically.
Idea that I'm not, you know, listen, I'm not here to defend the Democrats' choice on every policy, but there is one party in this country that is identitarian. There is one party that is represented and it is homogenous, and it is the Republican Party. 85% of Republicans are white. That's just the reality of it.
So does that
Some
mean
people
that,
don't necessarily.
This is what it feels like when you have conservative parents. My most sincere condolences. I'm so sorry.
Hold on. But here's the thing. You said even if let's just say, okay, that's true. 80% of Republicans are white. Does that mean that they're less moral? That they can't run an effective?
Okay, great. The assumption of like, all right, fucking.
Government. What does race have to do? What does?
I do appreciate also that like whenever they're talking about race here, this guy always assumes it's a question of the morality of somebody's race. No, motherfucker, it's a question of like we all live in society, you know, Joker moment, and inequality is pretty bad actually. You know, inequality is we shouldn't have that. It's not good. Doesn't tend to create good things for society when that happens, right? Like that's the underlying issue. But they constantly like there's so much projection about like the whether minorities are more morally virtuous than the white man. They are. It's some genuinely like stuck in the 19th century tier shit.
You don't have to say.
Hold on. What does
Donald Trump didn't have to say. My vice president's going to be a white male. Because they all knew it was going to be.
No, this is the premise of DEI. What does race have to do
That is
with
also
running
true.
an effective government? What does race have to do? If let's say DEI on the
What does DEI have to do with race? Apart from, yeah, we want to institute meritorious hiring so that the boss can't literally be like, I don't want to hire, and then they just say the N-word, and then like you can't literally do that anymore. Like what the fuck?
On the micro
I
level.
will tell you right now.
DEI on the micro level. McDonald's.
I'll tell you.
Am I going to get better nuggets?
Listen, I'll ask you a question.
If the cashier is black or white.
See, and he's not interested in engaging either. Sam Cedar's like, you know what? I'm prepared to like answer this shit, and then he's like, no, let me do. Also, I'm fucking dead.
What does that have to do with anything?
I'll tell you what it is. First of all, DEIA means that if you come into this agency or corporation, you're not going to be discriminated against because you don't look like everybody else or you don't have the same like physical abilities.
Yeah, there's no critical engagement whatsoever. He's just interested in repeating the line, you know?
Everybody else.
Sam Cedar, like everybody who is in politics and has political convictions or political beliefs of any sort, has a line that they are invested in getting across, has a point they're interested in conveying. The difference is the degree to which they are actually engaged in like whether or not that argument is correct or like good for society. This motherfucker does not care, and Sam does. You know, that's the difference, is that Sam is not a vacuous shell of a human being. He's a based and extremely handsome Jewish gigachad who is FDR pilled and wants to make America great again, in parentheses, complimentary. While this guy is like a sophist who is interested in making America great again, in parentheses, retarded.
Handles on the bathroom or whatever it is. That's what DEIA does. But does it make a government better if there's a broad representation of the people it's supposed to govern? Without a doubt. without a doubt.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, ideology should not be equal. I think it is somewhat telling that a lot of conservatives will, like, argue the discrimination line. They'll argue, like, oh no, we're being discriminated against. When it's like, yeah, we don't want to hire Nazis in our workplace. You know, if you're a Nazi, like, if we find out that you are a Nazi, a National Socialist, Sieg Heiling piece of shit, we will fire you. You know, there's not many lines that corporations will hold firm on, but that's usually one of them, because that tends to look bad and that tends to not be good for business. And conservatives are all like, we're being discriminated against. They're firing Nazis. And then you'll say, so you're a Nazi? And they'll be like, no, but we're being discriminated against when they fire Nazis. It's like, all right, great.
Correct, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Regardless of DEI, don't we already have things in our constitution that...
Why can't it be illegal to be a Nazi in America like it is in Europe? I got a newsflash for you. It isn't illegal to be a Nazi in Europe either, nor should it be, because Nazis deserve to be humiliated publicly, and for that to happen, they have to be legally allowed to believe the things they believe. It is still extremely socially discouraged to be a Nazi, and that's good. If you are a Nazi, you will get punched in public, and you will deserve it. And they probably aren't going to be that harsh with the charges they press against the person that punched you. Which I think is the ideal way of handling that. Yeah, criminalizing any kind of ideology is usually a bad idea, but there is a way to institutionally deal with Nazism, that is to shut them all out of representation in government. That, like, if you're a Nazi, you're not allowed to, like, run for elected office. If your platform is like, yes, I hate Jewish people, like, no, you can't do that. You know? And it should be legal to discriminate against, like, Nazis in hiring. How come I've seen police intervention when people do the Hitler salute in Germany? They actually intervene in those scenarios? The police are captured by Nazism in Germany. I guarantee you, any, like, instances of that you've seen are pretty isolated incidents, because the police department in Germany, the federal police, particularly the anti-Nazi police, are very, very captured by the far right in Germany. Have you not seen those? No, because they don't happen frequently enough to make the news. Or, in fact, they happen so infrequently that when one does happen, it's, like, noteworthy. But I haven't seen one of them happen. And they don't happen very often, I can assure you.
Protects people's rights, protects people.
No.
We don't?
No.
Do we or do we not?
No, we do not. Tell me what protects people from discrimination in housing and in work and hiring or getting loans? It's all statutes. It's all statutes. And in these government agencies, there was nothing except for that order. That's why Trump just rescinded it.
I'm gonna tap out.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. There was the Lyndon Johnson era civil rights executive order. It's kind of crazy that it never even made it to being a law. That, like, every president just through, like, the fucking norms of civility or whatever renewed this executive order that, like, yeah, discrimination in hiring is bad actually and you shouldn't do it. And then Trump was like, you know what? I'm going to not renew this executive order. I'm going to rescind it. I'm going to allow it to just go out and not be a thing anymore. You're allowed to discriminate against people in I think it's like federal hiring or whatever. Like, they just did that.
I think someone else has a better, can defend that point specifically, better than me.
All right, please return to your seat.
Okay, well, being a sophist, he does have to acknowledge when he's ill-equipped to handle the situation, I guess, which I do actually respect in some fashion. This is a really bad run so far. I guess I'll focus on... Wait. One hand type. I guess I can focus on diamonds? No. Yeah, the downside of the left. We don't like lying, usually. Oh, this fucker.
Okay, when it comes to DEI, essentially, if a person was not racist, he would hire someone regardless, right? So why would we need a policy to protect a person if we've moved past racism?
Oh, no. Bro is literally doing the "we live in a post-racial society" bit. I'm gonna fucking die instantly. I could start cutting non-diamond cards.
So would you?
The right will say anything, even if they don't. Case in point, this motherfucker is just saying anything. Oh no. Oh, that's good. Some of that.
Would you consider yourself racist?
Wait, are you suggesting we've moved past racism?
Would you consider yourself racist?
I consider myself, and sometimes I think we all practice like some form of, white supremacy. I think actually like we all do to some degree.
Well,
This is kind of like lived up moment that like Sam has to be academic with it and be like, yeah, I mean, we all have some of those inherent biases and whatever. But I think a better answer would actually be like, I mean, we all have our biases, right? But I don't think any of us, myself included, would say like, yes, I'm fucking racist, you know?
I'm glad that you're saying that. So I guess going to the LGBT.
Oh my god, this guy is so lived up. It's actually kind of funny. Get this out of here. There's that wild 2. Okay, we in there.
Topic, it seems like it's very prevalent for you as an issue.
Well, it seems like a big issue. I mean, the Republican Party spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars demonizing trans people.
Well, the reason why they've done something like that, and I think you're misconstruing the narrative, they haven't demonized them. They simply want protections.
They haven't demonized them. Looks inside. Republicans saying that all trans people are degenerate and a fucking threat to kids, and we should literally legislate them out of existence. That's a good card.
Back for their.
What state is already trying to make trans people? One state is already. Yeah. I have seen that. There are. I forget what state it was, but they literally introduced a bill to make identifying as transgender a form of fraud, so that like if you are found out in public to be trans, you can be arrested and prosecuted for fraud and face prison time or heavy fines. And I believe this is also one of those states where they did those like ID laws where it's illegal to have your ID not be like the gender you were assigned at birth or whatever. So like if somebody's transitioned, they have to have their gender that they no longer identify as. This is a really bad run. I'm starting over.
Their own children, because children are being stripped away from
Who's
their
their
parents.
own children?
Whoa, citation fucking needed, sir. Top 10 things that aren't fucking happening, have never happened, never will happen throughout time, and also top 10 arguments that the Nazis used all the fucking time. Thank you.
Children are being stripped away from their parents?
Yes, due to AB 954, they've now included gender identity as a premise to remove and strip parental rights for children who.
Oh, I see what he's doing. Basically, he's, the Republicans have made this a propaganda line, but fundamentally, I think what this does is, like, recognize, like, yeah, some parents will sexually abuse their kids, so you should be allowed to call fucking Child Protective Services. And they can take the kid away for that.
So, but you'd be okay with parents
that's the top
who
end of my
agree
scoring right now.
with their children's doctors to provide gender-affirming care?
I do not agree with that. Do you?
Ah, so it's like, okay. So that would be bad if that were happening. Top 10 things that aren't happening. But, like, if there's full consent all the way around, would you agree to that? No. So then the underlying position isn't that kids are being attacked. It's just that you think trans people are degenerate. Like, that's it.
I believe that parents and doctors can make those decisions with the kids.
If a child can't smoke, drink, or have sex before the age of 18, they should not be able to consent to a sex change. Now, in terms of a DEI initiative,
that's not what's happening. Whoa, hold on. Sex change and gender transition are not the same thing. Top 10 people that don't understand that there's a fucking difference. Okay. I'm fishing for the full house, not gonna lie. There it is.
The reason why there's military bans on trans women and trans men,
which there weren't until, like, this year. Remember, this was a big thing in 2019. I remember this. Even in the first Trump term, before they had started, before trans people became like a hot topic of the discourse or whatever, trans people were allowed in the military. There had to be an executive order passed banning them for it to become a subject. He's only talking about this because Republicans hate trans people so fucking much that they started persecuting them before they were the central object of the discourse or subject of the discourse.
Is because they do not have the ability to cooperate at a mental capacity when they're constantly undergoing hormone treatment as well as depression pills.
Bro, top 10. You know what? Do I have to say that this is an argument that the Nazis used like over and over again? Because this is the argument that the Nazis used.
As well as different mood stabilizer pills. And so when you go out to combat, do you really think you're going to bring an ice cooler pack with your, whether that be hormone, estrogen, or whatever it may be, while you're about to shoot someone of the opposing war?
Well, the executive orders that Trump gave were DEIA orders that had to do with agencies that have nothing to do with the military.
These.
Yes, they do. Yes, they absolutely do.
The FDA, they just revoked the ability of the Air Force to teach Air Force members about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Well,
What are we talking about
That's
here?
true.
Okay, well,
Honestly, like they're rewriting history.
well, that's your perspective, right? But at the end of the day, if a person
I have to congratulate Jubilee for making me simultaneously hate liberals and conservatives at the same time. This is not a lean feat. To combine, like, obviously in my mind, I'm capable of abstractly recognizing that I hate both of them, right? But they have somehow brought to a visceral level simultaneously both of those burning disdains and created a very fiery cocktail as this extremely libbed up, probably queer young gentleman is saying the most counterfactual bullshit I've ever heard in my life, and pretending that like trans people are a fucking threat to our society or whatever. God damn.
Tuskegee Airmen, we can all agree existed,
just
right?
listen to this. If you were
Straight
racist,
flush,
right, and you were an
can't
employer, and if you wanted to absolutely be racist and exercise that, you would. I think DEI sort of prevents people from seeing the reality. If a person truly wanted to hire you based on your intellect, based on your skill set, they would. DEI essentially provides tax cuts.
This is a NPC dialogue. This has nothing to do with anything that Sam was saying or like.
For the end of the year, when you create your tax returns, they give you a tax credit for hiring someone who is black or a person of color.
Not even remotely true.
don't know if you knew
In
that.
these agencies?
In agencies and private
In government
businesses.
agencies, they don't get tax cuts for hiring people
And
of
the other
color.
thing I
This
wanted
is
to,
to
and I,
protect
the other thing
people
I
from
want to
discrimination.
understand.
Government, by the way, the clip I've seen of this, government agencies don't fucking pay taxes. Their money comes from the government.
The other thing I want to kind of state.
He's
here
just like,
is
this
that I feel
guy,
like-
it is incredible how bad faith this guy is. He's literally just making shit up. That is all he's doing.
is that a lot of the times with the liberals is that you guys push for example, for DEI and people.
My brother in Christ, you are the most liberal human being I've ever seen in my life. You have no room to be calling somebody else a liberal when you refer to a perceived outgroup. But he was like, okay, I'm going to talk past him, I'm talking to the audience, the camera. They might not even realize it, but yes, every single conservative here is doing that. They're talking past Sam and directly to the camera.
Of Latino or Hispanic
Just
descent.
extreme
A lot of the times
dishonesty.
What you don't realize is you're actually doing more harm than good by putting them in positions where you make them believe that
Hit
it's
the
based
clubs,
on
buddy.
color
They
of
get
your skin.
$20.
It's based on
DEIA does not is not
it's based on merit. DEI emphasizes color, skin color.
That's the opposite. DEI de-emphasizes skin color in favor of meritorious qualities. It's literally like, yeah, to protect the privacy of the applicant, we're going to make it so you don't necessarily have to disclose your race. Literally, that's one of the things that like, one of the civil rights protections that's part of this executive order in DEI that the administration wanted to strip away is that you don't have to disclose what race you are on job applications sometimes, And they're like, now we want to make it so that people have to tell you what race they are when they're applying for a job. Like, wow, great. You know, literally, you would only get rid of DEI if you wanted to openly be more racist. Again, in an effort to suppress the working class, to get them fighting against each other. Like that's it. There's no
It says
ifs,
that
ands, or buts.
the people who work in your
Scrub red card.
agency, it's about anti-discrimination.
Discrimination against what?
Against people who may have different cultural mores, may have different.
But that's irrelevant to a job,
right? Well, yes, discrimination against different culture, whatever. But also like socioeconomic and racial background and stuff. A lot of jobs actually won't hire people from certain lower income brackets because of like a perceived less like lesser resume and whatever. A lot of people that come from a much more cushy background have like a more access to the kind of like white collar opportunities that look really good on a resume that include a lot of corporate speak and stuff like that. So as a result, there's like, even just unintentionally, there's sort of a filtering process that happens there. And so there is sometimes there is a deliberate effort made to like make up that gap, particularly with the socioeconomic class. And what ends up happening is that also benefits racial minorities, because racial minorities are disproportionately represented in the lower income brackets. You know, literally, it's like we set out to help poor people. We accidentally also helped racial minorities. And conservatives are taking issue with that, both because you wanted to help poor people and because you also accidentally helped the racial minorities.
right? It should.
What happens if I type I am human in the race tab? You don't get hired, probably. I don't know. I think there is a prefer not to say option. Like, that might be it. That might be, like, DEI is such a fucking small part of, like, any of this shit. It might be as small as, like, yeah, we added an option that if you don't want to say what race you are, you don't have to. Like, that's it. And they're making this out to be, like, the fucking boogeyman of the century. I'm gonna skip this so the red card can scale up a little bit. It's good. Take this out of the pool. No, I still need it. I think that's worth it.
Should be based on merit.
These are the same people that would say 1350 behind a computer screen. This guy would say 1350 with the most fucking liberal. Actually denying the blah 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 is problematic. Actually, like, affect possible. Like, this fucking
people get
this fucking
hired
cheese
as a
or
merit, but if the
Not
DEI,
if you get a
if
tax-
the
Let's make this gold
DEIA, I'm talking about Trump's rescission of
If
these
you
orders.
received a
Probably
tax
gonna get
cut as
it.
an employer, wouldn't you hire a person of color?
Dude,
If you could pay them less?
listen, we're talking.
That's exactly what. Okay, hold on. He's so fucking close to getting it. That's what DEI is there to prevent doing. In making your race possible to be more anonymous, you essentially flatten the playing field, either upwards or downwards, so that the ruling class can't artificially create any sort of competition to that effect. He accidentally nailed exactly the reason that DEI exists, to promote meritorious hiring, so that they can't just say, oh, this person is black, so we can pay them less. Or something like that. You know? In fact, I think the biggest, most substantial thing that it probably says in any DEI policy anywhere is that, yeah, we will comply with federal regulation and law pertaining to people's civil rights. That's it.
Talking about government agencies.
I'm gonna have to actually resist the urge to fucking say some shit every time this guy opens his mouth. Conservatives get me in such a fucking state,
That
dude.
do not get tax cuts. They don't. Government agencies.
They don't.
No,
Yes,
these
they
are.
do. They absolutely do. In public. Kissing in public.
What did I do? Where was I? Like 17 minutes?
It's about anti-discrimination culture.
That is the employer. Wouldn't you hire no. In public?
No,
Yes,
these are-
they do. They absolutely do.
I'm talking
He's just confidently wrong. Like, that's nice.
about
Every
parts.
private and public sector gets tax cuts when you hire a person of color.
Government agencies don't pay taxes. Government agencies operate are funded by the government.
That is not true. That is.
Okay, this shit almost broke me when I saw it the first time. This is when I knew I, like, fucking had to react to this. Yeah, these people are like, a not insignificant part of the reason that, like, a lot of people are just gonna fucking die in the future. Like, he explained that government agencies are funded by the government. And he said, bro, that's not true. How fucking stupid do you have to be? Actually, how stupid do you have to be to hear the sentence, government agencies are funded by the government, and instead of being like, yes, the floor here is made out of floor, no shit, I knew that, you instead be like, oh, that's not even true. What the fuck honky-tonk ass like planet am I living on right now? Hello? Read this.
Is not true. And you know what? I think the whole
Sam is going through it right now. He's like, what the fuck is this?
juxtapose of this entire conversation.
Yeah, this is the part where you hit them over the head with a rock as hard as you can in Minecraft, and then you call them a retard.
This is January.
Okay, so we can agree on that.
I'm
The
gonna...
FDA does not
Okay, so
pay
this happened in
taxes.
January.
It does not get a tax cut because it doesn't pay taxes. DEIA forces them as an agency to say, if you have a job opening, you must do your best efforts to make sure that every
I like that. I
part
love
of
me a
society...
buzzword. You must do your best effort. I love that buzzword.
Yeah, you must. That's how the fucking law... Did he... What do you mean, you must? What a buzzword. That's how the fucking law works, dude. What is wrong with these people?
Okay,
Holy
pause.
shit.
Feel like you have to. You're probably
And keep in mind, by the way, these people will say shit like this confidently. And they'll be like, why am I losing friends? Why am I losing friends over politics, guys? Can't we be friends? No, you moron, we can't be friends when this is the tier of, like, engagement that you're on.
You shouldn't be pressured to hire someone based on skin color.
No, not to hire someone on skin color, but put up notice about that the job exists. Make sure that you put it in different communities so that you have as wide an application.
Oh, yeah, this is something that I saw in I think one of the clips. It was like a lot of people did this on YouTube that are like also in my newsfeed, so I clicked and accidentally saw like 1 to 2 second bursts of certain parts of this. This is something that is like an underestimated part of racial discrimination, is that sometimes when there's job openings, like in the like Jim Crow United States, sometimes when there were job openings, they straight up just wouldn't be advertised in like minority communities. That's like part of redlining and stuff, is that they would only advertise when there was a job opening to, you know, majority white communities. I'm gonna make this queen a wild card, and then I'll turn this 2 into that queen. Yeah, make it easier to get the flush going. This sucks for the spot that I'm in right now.
Pool is possible.
This guy's definitely media trained. Oh, you know
Therefore,
he
you
is.
get tax cuts.
All right, return to
At
your
the
seat.
end of the year.
They don't get tax cuts, you absolute piece of garlic bread.
When you file taxes, you get a tax cut for hiring someone who speaks
They don't file for... Okay, I'm...
a different language.
Alright, skip. Fast forward. I'm done with that guy. Yeah, no, honestly, if there's anything that Sam should have done differently, he should have insulted them harder. Also, I think I'm just going to lose to the arm here.
I don't even know if we got it yet. On which part benefits corporations? Like from your perspective.
So agencies,
Yeah.
the U.S. government agencies, the vast
This
majority
boss
of them,
blind is
what they function to
destroying
do
me, dude.
is inhibit corporations from essentially externalizing their costs onto society.
Sure.
So the example would be, I used it.
That was
before,
my whole
it's
deck.
a good one.
Oh, no.
I'm making Teflon, C8, for instance, okay? And C8 is supposed to be burned.
Dang. Yeah, but they don't care is the thing. They don't care that like government agencies don't pay taxes because they're not interested in engaging.
Instead of like depositing, because it's a forever chemical. And I can go out and instead of burning it, it's too expensive to burn it, I'm going to dump it into a river. And the EPA comes in and says, like, you can't do that. We're going to fine you. You're not allowed to do this. But what the company's doing when they do that is they're going to take the profits that come with lowering their costs by dumping it into the river. And those costs are then borne by everybody who lives around that river. They're going to get cancer. They're going to get gastro.
That's called a negative externality. This is not good, but I'll take it.
That's no problem. Whatever it is.
Like companies will break the law, knowing that they broke the law, just because it's the cost of doing business. Like, well, we wanted to do this thing, and it's profitable enough to violate the law here that will violate it, eat the penalty, and then we still make a profit anyways. They do that all the time.
Yes. And society bears the cost of that.
Can you connect the dots for me, though? Because it sounds like we're talking about something completely different.
I have to take it.
The DEIA stuff is just the beginning of demoralizing these agencies and trying to wreck them from the inside. It's all part of like Russell Vought's thing, the OMB, the whole Schedule F, where they get rid of civil servants and they demoralize people and they don't want them to be able to function.
So then would you agree if this is about demoralizing? I mean, over 75 million people voted for Trump, right? He won the popular vote. Do you not think that in part, you even said yourself that Americans don't really know what DEIA is, according to your definition of it?
Well, the government's definition of it.
Okay, well, I would argue that the average American is demoralized by what they've seen, the way that the government goes about their DEI policies and the military and other organizations.
No American is seeing DEI policies. Republicans manufactured this as a talking point. DEI, before Republicans started using it to just mean the N-word, was relegated to like niche fucking glasses pushing like Poindexter nerds in the HR department of corporations that you would never see or hear about. Like, that's what it was, you know? And then they're like, he's like, oh, don't you think when Americans see this? Americans don't see jack shit. They see what they're told to see. And what they're told to see is, hey, DEI means you have to hire black people. And we hate black people.
It's not just the military.
Please return to your seat.
Okay.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to
He got humiliated.
to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact checks in this video. Straight Arrow News is an app and website that is on a mission to
Shut up. I'm not here for the ad read.
be the star or spin. Plus their media mainstream picture reporting again to
Unless you're a billionaire, a religious fundamentalist.
Yeah, this claim is correct. Unless you are a billionaire, religious. Well, actually, why am I interrupting? I will let Sam read.
My next claim is, unless you're a billionaire, a religious fundamentalist, or a xenophobic nationalist, voting for Trump was a mistake.
That's true.
Okay, so let's tackle one aspect: religious fundamentalists. What benefit would religious fundamentalists get? And also, can you define what is a religious fundamentalist?
And maybe you could say,
Wait, he's not refuting the claim. Anyone that says humanity is evil, what? I think autocorrect kind of murdered that sentence. The claim was anybody outside of these groups voting for Trump would be a mistake. Not that anybody inside of those groups voting for Trump wouldn't be a mistake. He's mixing up these different like types of claims. Whatever. Look, it's not like any of them care. Why should I care?
more of like a Christian nationalist.
Okay.
In this instance, but things like the attacks on trans folks, the attacks on a woman's right to choose, the idea that we're going to get stuff like an enhanced RFRA, which is going to mean that if you're a pharmacist and you don't want to provide birth control, you may not have to.
Don't you think you're assuming that
if you believe that public education, we should take that money and pour it into religious schools, you're gonna get a benefit out of a Trump administration.
Yeah, but don't you think you're assuming that the vast majority of Americans who are moderates?
What do you think you're gonna get out of the Trump administration?
Economic relief. That was
What kind of economic relief?
Good fucking luck, bro. Economic relief. Oh yeah, I'm sure a fucking 70% price increase from anywhere from like 30 to 70% price increase on literally everything that you ever could spend money on ever is gonna really economically relieve you, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
They're going to cut Social Security. You're going to have to pay for your...
Yeah, this whole time, I actually do feel like as frustrated as fucking Omni-Man. He's like, think, Mark! You know? I don't like some of these moves that I'm making, but I feel like I kind of have to. I have to do that. This what I'm doing. Oh wait, I misplaced those. Do something like this. Let's see where this gets me. Okay, that's not bad.
Parents, they're going to cut.
Bro, stop raising your fucking hand. This ain't school.
When they go after the agencies
Damn.
like they're going after, right? This is outlined in Project 2025. Russ Vought, who's going to be the OMB head, he was the OMB head the first time around. He wrote all the book on this stuff.
Okay, well, you bring up Project 2025.
When you cut agencies and go after them.
Honestly, I think this is a good move by Sam to literally just talk over him because they don't care. You should just make your point. Like, they don't give a shit about what they're saying, so why should you?
And you fire all the inspector generals so that they're not being able to make sure that the agencies are working. Who do you think profits from that? It's corporations. They're going to go after agencies that make sure your food is not full of botulism, that your air is not full of mercury, that your water is not full of C8. This is what they're going to do. Agencies exist to curb corporations from externalizing their costs and privatizing their profits. So it may be cheap.
I mostly just took that to fill up a Joker slot so I can scale this guy a little bit better. I don't think it's actually going to get me that much utility. Think he's slowly realizing that? Yeah, Sam Seder is definitely good at like being quick on his feet. Play this.
Than it is for them to dispose of it in a safe way. And so they get the profits from that, but the costs are borne by society. They're borne by society in the form of like people get cancer. They're borne by society in terms of like we've got to do the cleanup. That's what agencies do.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
That's good.
That's funny. It is kind of funny that they can like literally get voted out. Where are my hearts? There's the hearts.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so I would like to touch on the religious fundamentalist aspect.
Yeah.
Are you an atheist?
I'm a Reformed Jew. I don't have a strong belief in the existence of God, but I don't think that religion in and of itself is bad.
Okay, so what's wrong with religious fundamentalists? So like when you said trans rights and women.
What's wrong with religious fundamentalists? This is the part where I just say, you know what, get the fuck out, leave right the fuck now.
The problem I have with religious fundamentalists, and really more, I guess it's really theocrats, is that they want to impose their morality that comes from their religion on the rest of us, and I don't.
But morality, from your view, is going to be a preference, right? It's not morality; it's a preference.
All morality is a preference. By the way, morality, fucking cringe and fascist-pilled term to use. I prefer using the term ethics. Thank you. The problem with religious fundamentalism is that they produce shit-ass societies. Like, you can objectively measure the outcomes, the social outcomes, and I think I'm just dead here, in societies run by religious fundamentalist governments, and they are ubiquitously worse than secular societies. Like, this is a known quantity.
Morality without a foundation is going to...
God is literally a fascist? Yeah. God is literally referred to as Father with a capital F. Like, fucking, you're not going to tell me there isn't some extremely weird shit going on. Also, my Joker luck is fucking terrible.
Reduce you to a preference.
Well, I have a foundation for my morality.
Which is what?
It's a humanist vision of what basically creates
outcomes.
as little suffering as possible for as many people.
Okay, so you're like a consequentialist?
Yeah.
Utilitarian?
I don't really bother myself with being a consequentialist or a utilitarian.
It's always going to reduce you to a preference. So if you say that killing is wrong and I say it's right, you would really have no contention with that.
Well,
Okay, this guy is at least... This guy, okay. I'm gonna peg it as hard as I can right now. This guy has probably, like, watched Destiny or something. Because what he's getting at is moral anti-realism. Which, you know, is a real thing. You know, I genuinely, like, he's correct. If he said, like, I think killing is good, actually, like, I wouldn't be able to refute that, because it's like, okay, well, why do you think that? Like, I don't know, I just do. It's like, alright, we've arrived at an axiomatic difference of opinion. Yeah, nobody behaves like this if they haven't been trained to behave like this.
No, I don't base my understanding of civil society on religion. And so we have a civil society. Okay. We have laws that we have decided as a society in a democratic way. And for some people, it's okay for it to be informed by their religion. That's okay.
Okay, perfect. So if tomorrow society comes together and we say, hey, trans folks don't deserve rights, you would be okay with that?
No, I would be against it, but I mean, it would be...
No, because
it would be morally right under your view.
Not morally right, no.
It would be consequentially bad. People would suffer.
No, I'm not talking about morals
Okay,
here.
so here's where I'm getting to, right? Religious foundations provide an ethical framework for one to live their life off.
Damn, that's crazy. Religion exists. Why is that that's constantly the argument that they use. Yeah, this thing exists, therefore it's good. Like, fucking what?
I believe you can have an ethical framework without religion.
And if we take the leftist view to its logical tail end, to its extreme view, you have low reproductive birth rates, you have a reproductive dead end, so two men together can't reproduce.
What is Blood talking about? Oh, right, okay. Obviously.
Unless they
It's all psychosexual. Everything is psychosexual with these people. How did I not see this coming? I should have known.
have to take from a healthy straight couple. Religion provides this foundation where you do prioritize the nuclear family.
So do you have...
He just gave the game away. Okay, these people are media trained, but they're not that well media trained. He literally just said, yeah, religion provides a justification for me to hate gay people. That's his whole position, baby. Face cards are drawn face down. Okay, so I can do this. Take advantage of the splash while I have it. And that's it. Okay.
have a problem with gay people being married?
It's not that I have a problem. I just don't see a justification for why they ought to be gay outside of it just feels good.
Okay, and? Yeah, you're still stupid even if you're media trained. All the media training in the world cannot save you from being a fucking moron. Let's do this, I think. Yeah, it creates the jokers first, and then it does that. Okay. You know what? If I do this, I think I win in one. I definitely win in one if I do this. If it wasn't necessary, I bet you dollars to donuts they would ban straight couples. Yeah, I mean they would probably they would take this shit back to like I mean that's all conservatives want to do is take the shit back to the days when women were like property or some shit, you know? Like, that's what they want. That's the end game always. Wild card is good. Oh. Well, I don't care for either of these. See if I can't get a... There we go. I don't understand why your society is so sex-based. What do you mean your society? Aren't you from Alaska? Like, we're talking just about society generally. Autocorrect? Okay, gotcha.
Can you give me another justification for it?
Well, I think maybe that's the way they were born.
Okay.
Okay, this is one part where I like legitimately disagree with Sam. I don't think that you should have to say, well, they were born like that in order to justify being gay. I think it feeling good is fine, and that's like fine. You know, it's very, very conservative assumption that anything that it feels good or gives you any sort of pleasure must necessarily be bad. Like, damn, that's crazy. That shit felt good. Therefore, it's bad? Question mark? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Okay. Damn it, I fast forwarded again when I meant to hit play.
Religious foundations provide this view to its law dead end. So, nation where you do prioritize the nuclear family, they ought.
That's the way they were born.
Okay. What about pedophiles? Are they born that way?
They may be, yeah.
Okay. So should we let a pedophile off the hook?
I also do love that this guy was like, okay, well, what about pedophiles? Gay people are literally like pedophiles when you think about it. Source, Great, cool.
Since they were born that way?
No, I think
nothing matters. Nothing matters to these people. Also, I think I'm dead as fuck. Holy shit. One man has never been so dead. Oh yeah, I am so dead. Yeah, GG's. The wall. They're just not giving me good jokers early.
Should implement duties to prevent them from acting on that innate urge, correct?
Democrats do that because they're spineless, and also because even though the ones that aren't, they're kind of stuck in the 90s. I'm gonna actually go for, straight here. There we go.
Well, I think between consenting adults, it's a different thing than...
Okay, so you're okay with a 45-year-old dad with a 19-year-old daughter as well? Incest.
Yeah, this guy has fucking media training. Again, cannot save him from the terminal flaw of that he's a retard, but he has media training nonetheless. Do I really need to refute this? I don't think I need to refute this. I think I can just say this guy is a moron and he's making stupid arguments. And he also just doesn't care about the arguments that he's making. So I don't need to care about the arguments that he's making, and we'll move on.
No.
If they consent, you're okay with that?
No, I think society is also determined that it's not beneficial.
What you want. We have responsibility as a society to keep us functioning.
Okay, I'm gonna skip.
You have no
from the idea that their God said that they're the ones who's supposed to be king, and so.
Oh wait, actually, he might be making some interesting arguments here. Sam is I was originally gonna skip this guy because I was like, this guy's just gonna be painful to listen to, and literally say, oh, you think people should be allowed to be gay because sometimes men like men. Why are you literally pro pedophile Hitler and or super Hitler? You know, like fucking what?
Right? I mean, I don't believe that someone has a corner on religious truth. And the reason why we have a democracy is because we didn't want a king. And the kings came from the idea that their God said that they're the ones who's supposed to be king. And so
that's
we can
true.
Disagree on this.
This is based classical liberal argumentation. Sorry, I thought we didn't respect the fucking divine right of kings in this country. I thought we were based in secular pilled.
I don't want to live in a country that is ruled by religious fundamentalism.
And if I do, you have no issue with that.
And no. And this
actually, I do have an issue with that. If you want to live in a society that is ruled by religious fundamentalists, that means you want an environment where, with the perceived justification of God, the state can extend its long arm to punish anybody that is not, like, observing an inane set of rules that almost always revolves around paterfamilias and the subjugation of women and children. So yeah, actually, I do have a problem with people who want to live in a religious fundamentalist society, even if they're like, oh, I don't think everybody should live like that, but I want to live like that. Fuck you! You hate freedom is what is what's happening there.
This is why I say, under Trump, yes, you have won.
Yes.
You have a
Only
bunch
male
of Christian,
and female. You're right.
You have a Christian
One.
nationalist,
Yes,
and
which is necessary.
And so I concede the point that under Trump, your Christian nationalism has gained an advantage under this.
Sorry, we're going to have more kids. We're going to have less abortions. We're going to have more families.
Behold the face of white supremacy, a fucking Hispanic guy. Who sounds like this, by the way. Extremely high-pitched. Yeah. I can't handle it sometimes, dude. I'll be real.
We're gonna have stable family households. Sorry about better
Trans
education.
people, gay people.
At better education, no, you fucking don't, buddy. Your guy wants to eliminate the Department of Education, or maybe he means that like, we will restore the epic-based and trad-pilled, you know, patriotic education to classrooms where we teach kids that gay people are degenerates or something. That's probably what he means.
They
should be straight. They should be straight.
Women should be secondary to their husbands.
Women should submit to the husbands.
Women
that doesn't
should
mean they.
Okay. Women should submit to the husband. Sure, bro. We're just like pro subjugation of women. Great. Pro bad things actually.
It doesn't mean they're. It means they are protected. Okay, let me ask you.
No.
Should women be drafted? Should women be drafted?
Listen,
I don't think anybody should be drafted. Actually, a hot take. I think drafting anybody is bad. What the fuck are these jokers? I've been able to get shit so far. Face cards are drawn face down. Hello? Found my face cards. Where are my aces? There's one.
If they're not, should they be drafted?
I think
maybe. What the fuck is going on with this game, bro? Don't do gambling, kids. Okay. If I didn't draw those aces, I was done.
this is the vision that you have, and I think.
I bet people think wars are. I bet you these people think wars are just fighting people with guns in modern times. Yeah, they probably do think that because they're so hopped up on fucking bullshit conservative propaganda about whatever. Fucking. I can't deal, dude. I can't. How the fuck
Trump
do I deal with
supports
this?
it. I think the Christian nationalists he has throughout his government are all.
They so straightforwardly just don't care about anything that they're saying. Do that.
Going to work towards your vision.
Yes.
And my hope is that when people look at this, they say, hey, wait a second. I don't want my life to be dictated by the notion of a Christian nationalist prescription. Now, you may win out. I mean, certainly, like if you look at a country like Iran, they have a theocracy there, and apparently that's you know, good for them if they want it.
My final point is whenever.
But I don't want to live in.
Actually, kind of a goated point. If you want to be like Iran, then you can. Sure.
My final point is whenever we see people live out Christian values to its full extent, we see a great society. When we see people deviate from that, that's where all the problems arise.
Citation needed, please. Also, top 10 Nazi propaganda talking points. I can't keep doing this, dude.
I think you are at home in the Trump. Trump
Thank you very much.
You've been voted out. Please return to your seat.
Sorry, guys. I think I have an issue with the implications of the prompt. I mean, of course, I'll stick on the religious fundamentalism. I think it's unfair to view Christianity separated from the ideology that Christianity informs, right? You have an ideology that you vote upon because you view it to be the truth.
Oh, these fuckers are all media trained. Okay, how much do you want to bet? If I were to look into any one of these people, I would find like a extremely astroturfed, like conservative social media account. Right, like behind the facade. Also, I'm just dead here. My mother once told me that Christians should be the only people in America. I'm sorry to hear that your mother is extremely stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to fucking hear that. That's not enough. This would have been enough if I drew it earlier.
That benefits everyone in a society. That's how a democracy works. I, as a Christian, have an ideology that informs my opinions, and I believe that it is the most moral and correct way for a society to function.
Damn, that's crazy. You have beliefs. This actually differentiates you from probably the rest of the people there. Let's fish for the flush. I didn't get it. I did get a full house, though.
So I think if we put religious fundamentalism in a
Told her America was never built on the concept, and she yelled at me. Total secularism, classic total supreme secularism victory. You made the Christoids mad.
Any moral implications that I draw from this, religion is unable to be voted upon, unable to be pushed onto you because simply it's a religion is unfair to view it that way. Religion is an ideology like all ideologies are. You have
literal Marxist talking point. Actually no, this is anti-Marxist. That religion itself is an ideology. Religion is the opiate of the masses, which means it is not like isolated to any one ideology. Religion can be used in any which way to justify a number of policies or beliefs. Most of them actually being very reactionary, backwards, and authoritarian. A lot of religion has always been like an instrument of social control. And while there are more rational Hobbesian arguments to be made for that, still many of which I would not agree with, most of the arguments and forms of society that support or are supported by an institutionalized religion are very, very hierarchical and authoritarian and center the concept of pater familias. Again, I refer to God being referred to as Father with a capital F, who will with the divine right of the light or whatever, punish you when you commit any transgression or act of wrongdoing. You will literally be physically punished by the Father should you act out of line with his wishes. That's not even the subtext of religion. That is the text of all monotheistic religion, that if you act out of line with the wishes of God, you will be punished by God, as referred to as Father. So if it makes Hitler look like a saint, well, let's not go that far. I do still think that Hitler is more evil than God. I'm discussing God as like a concept. Also, God isn't real, so I don't think he could be more evil than Hitler. Hitler is real and did like commits genocide with a giant water. Oh, that's true. Old Testament God fucking hits different. What am I even doing here? Let's see, 900.
You vote away.
I don't mind you. I don't dispute the idea that you could have a religious ideology and want to see it imposed upon others, and it's not inconsistent with my claim. My claim is that Donald Trump is ushering in an element of Christian theocracy that I can't remember his name, and you may be excited about, but I'm not excited about it. I don't think the vast majority of Americans are, but maybe I'm wrong. Right. I mean, I don't think this country was set up to be a theocracy. Sure. And I find it problematic.
Yeah, and while America wasn't a completely secular project, even to begin with, it was always like meant to be a departure from the European governments, which emphasize the divine right of kings. Even in the early days of America, people did have the right to worship as they pleased, which meant Jews and Muslims were also welcome in America, and maybe the occasional Hindu Indian, but the most contact that they would have had with other religions would have been Muslims and Jews. And then, of course, the native religions, which they didn't respect because they were also like flaming white supremacists. But the point being that America was not founded as like a Christian nationalist project. Not necessarily, anyways.
That it will be, but others will be happy about it.
I think it's unfair as well to label any morals that comes from religion inherently immediately theocratic. Like having a theocracy is something different than having.
I think love thy neighbor is a good precept, and I don't know that we should necessarily legislate it, but I think it's a good precept. Cool. I think there are things from religion that are good. Yeah. I interviewed Desmond Tutu years ago, who said that religion can be. Is like a knife. It can be used to spread butter, or it can be used to stab people. Sure. But that doesn't mean that I want religious doctrine.
That's true. I do kind of like that analogy because, people do be getting stabbed with knives, I suppose. What does this get me? Oh. Okay. Not much, as it turns out. What if I do this? It's me a little bit more. Okay. Okay, so there's the beginnings of a build here.
To be the same as the law of the land. We have a democracy, and it was founded on trying to get out from some type of like religious oppression, which means one religion shouldn't dominate in this country. That's my sense.
Yeah, and I see that, but I think I have an issue with where you would perceive religious doctrine is derived from, right? A guy doesn't, at least in Christianity, a guy doesn't go in a room and come out and say that he has a secret message from God that everyone now has to follow. Religious doctrine is ruled over. It's
No, that actually is how religion works. Somebody just says, I have had a vision from God. All of you now have to do what I say. That's it. That's how religion works. Let me play this Full House here.
It's reasoned over the same way any ideology is discovered.
I'm not talking about the validity of religious doctrine. I'm talking about religious doctrine
Yeah, this person hasn't heard of the 10 commandments, mind you. This is not the 10 fucking suggestions for what to do on a Saturday afternoon. No, he commanded that shit. Like I said, it's, you know, there's the emphasis of being punished if you disobey. You know?
Supplanting democracy in civil society.
And I'm saying that religious doctrine is democratic inherently, and in the way that you.
Well,
nothing means anything, dude. You can just say shit. Religious doctrine is inherently democratic. Fucking no. That's what makes it religious doctrine. It's not democratic. Whatever, man.
I mean, look, we can have a debate as to whether or not women should be subservient to men. I don't think they should be, and in a democracy, I don't think it's healthy.
Right, but when you said earlier with him that someone shouldn't have I don't know the exact word, like a chokehold on what is, you know, religious truth and what isn't religious truth. That's not how religious truth itself works, and that's not how religious truth is brought to the political table to have that work either. Right?
I don't know. When Pete Hegseth is in a bar yelling, you know, we're going to kill all Muslims.
Well, that's
I mean, well, yeah, but now he's in charge of the largest military in the history of the world. I think, and he's informed by his Christian nationalism. I think that's a problem.
Right. Well,
we can disagree on that.
Yeah, we don't take.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Thanks, Sam.
Return to your seat.
Who's up now? The same guy again? Get me out of here, dude.
Eleazar mentioned his views on gay marriage, and I saw that you believe that essentially conservatives don't believe that gay marriage should be allowed.
Yes, because they don't.
I want to ask everybody in this room, is there any law or legislation that Donald Trump has passed to prohibit same-sex marriage in the
has passed to prohibit? Nah.
last 4 years?
And I love that they try to do this thing. Well, have they actually done it yet? Like, motherfucker, you know how that's not worked. Like, you know that that's not how it works. You know that, like, people have political aspirations for projects. For, like, political projects and shit. Anti-synergy. Square Man and the... I think I actually do need to look inside one of these. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone in here who would potentially oppose two people kissing in public that are of the same sex? You could raise your hand if you want. Yes, in public. Kissing in public.
They would only raise their hand for gay people here. That's the thing. That's how they get you. Is they do the whole, like, does anybody object to gay people doing PDAs? And that way it's like, okay, so would you not then object to straight people doing PDAs? In which case this like, you're not talking about gay people then. But again, I don't know why the fuck I'm like talking about this, because they so clearly don't care what they're saying.
No law against it. Just your own opinion. Okay, so these are all people's opinions, right? The same way you have your opinions about Christians is the same way these.
Get that lib shit out of here. Found some kings.
These people are
No,
allowed.
I don't have a problem with Christians.
Well, you do not believe that theology should be at...
I do have a problem with Christians sometimes, but principally I don't really.
It's,
I have a problem with the Christians that are in that room right there, particularly. That's who those are the Christians that I have a problem with. Where are my kings? They don't exist, apparently. Hello? Okay, there's one.
We should not have a theocracy.
Correct. And so what I'm saying is, I think that Christianity, I'm a Catholic, I think that Christianity is...
Buddy, there are a number of Christians in this country that would argue that because you're Catholic, you're not Christians. Also, 100% chance this guy is a convert and therefore like one of the most insane fucks on planet Earth. I mean, we knew that part already, but...
I think fundamentally very important to instill family values in myself as well as every person who wants to have children. Now let's talk about...
I'm okay with that too.
Let's talk about Order 1, 14,000...
I actually don't think that that's okay, specifically because of like the academic, if you understand the academic definition of family values. Family values is just paterfamilias, but brought into the modern day so that conservatives can wave it around like they support something good. The only way that conservatives can sound like they support something good is when they repackage something fucking evil as, like, sounding good. That's true. The gay Prussian general trained the American army to be, like, a lot better experienced. And as a result, the troops had the training to actually, like, basically make it through the rest of the like American Independence War. That's true.
166. That is an executive order.
So when you think about it, being against gay people is anti-American. So fuck this guy, basically, is what I'm saying.
That Donald Trump just imposed on identifying what is male and female. So I personally believe
these jokers are ass.
Well as many transsexuals, friends of mine believe that a woman is a biological female, as well as a man being a biological male. You are assigned what you are.
Bro, this is like, I hate that YouTube has the playhead right there, so I can't just like click pause.
It's like a knife; it can be used to spread religion.
Okay.
Is the same way these people are allowed.
No, I don't have a problem with. I'm okay.
An executive order that Donald Trump just imposed on identifying what is male and female. So.
Anybody, okay, this is what I wanted to say and then fucking slipped on the pause button because YouTube controls suck. Anybody who uses the words male and female just sounds extremely fucking creepy when they describe, like, men and women, or when they're describing what the differences between men and women are/should be. I do hate it a lot. Yeah. Here's the fucking thing, right? All of the conservative ideology around the prescriptivism of who is a man and who is a woman can be defeated by this one fucking rhetorical question. If being a man or being a woman is so isolated to sexual characteristics, why can I tell that this guy is a man if he's fully clothed? Why can I tell that? And of course, they don't actually care. What they care about is subjugating women and killing very, very large numbers of trans people. But, like, if you're actually interested in understanding, you know, the difference between saying, like, fucking males and females in like, the purely a sexual characteristic sense, or understanding, like, what it means to be, like, a man or a woman, then fucking think for 2 seconds. Also, I'm gonna lose this because I didn't get any jokers. Yeah, also, why do you need to know all the sexual characteristics of everybody you ever meet? That another really good question that you know, conservatives have yet to come up with a halfway decent answer to. I think this gets me there.
I personally believe, as well as many transsexuals.
Anybody that's like also use the term transsexuals and is not a trans person stonks. Anybody that's like disconcerned about like physical sex differentiation between men and women being codified into law, it is just fucking extremely creepy, and I don't want any part of it.
friends of mine believe that a woman is a biological female, as well as a man being a biological male.
I don't give a shit what your friends believe.
You are assigned what you are at birth. You are not assigned your gender later on.
And that's another problem. They all believe that, like, your social role, these people are just anti-freedom. Your social role, your gender role is that which you are assigned. You don't get to choose. That's a prescriptive statement. That's not a descriptive statement. Yeah, it's true. That is also hearsay. I shouldn't have picked this up. Whatever. I'll turn some face cards into diamonds. I should have bought one of those jokers so I could at least give this guy some more juice. I did, however, draw a flush on the first draw, so... Consolation prize, I suppose. And almost drew another one on the second draw. Hello? Damn.
What you choose to express is something that is similar to wearing a garment, similar to what you decide to put on your face, and I don't think there should be laws or legislations dictating people or imposing laws to manipulate children, for example, to castrate their bodies at such a young age. There 50% of children...
it always comes back to fucking pedophilia and obsessing over the, like, sex characteristics of kids. Always. Every single time. Extremely creepy shit.
You know how many children are treated over the past 5 years, let's say? I think it was from 2018 to 22, there was a study that just came out from Harvard. Do you know how many children received gender-affirming care?
I guess I'm doing a flush build again.
Puberty blockers and then
give me the numbers.
You tell me. I'm curious.
Well, I'm curious because you're bringing it up.
No, I have the numbers.
Okay, tell me.
I do, but I'm curious if you know.
Tell me what the numbers are.
I promise to tell you after you tell me what you think it is.
I'm not gonna play that game.
Because I have a feeling
We're not playing this game.
No, I am playing this game because
Why?
I think you think.
Based Giga Chad Sam Seder? No, I am playing this game. Fuck you. You're gonna play my game now. Let's go.
It's much higher. When you tell me that kids are being castrated,
please just
I
let
know
me draw
you don't
a single
really know
heart.
what these numbers are. And I do know these numbers.
Okay, well, I can tell you this much.
What?
It was reported that scientifically every single child who has received gender-affirming care, about roughly 50% of them regret it. And 50%...
He's just lying? Making this up? I think I've talked about this on stream. Like, we've been over the actual numbers of like, because this was such a frequent talking point for like transphobes and shit. You know? Selling this would get me more. You know what? Actually, I'm going to hold off on using this until I beat this boss. Give me the hearts. There's one. Give me the hearts. There we go. I think it's like a less than 1% regret rate of anybody, everybody who like proceeded with gender transition long enough to the point that they actually had any sort of like reassignment surgery or anything like that. I have to take this. It's too good for me to not take it.
Of them are suicidal because of it. They're actually more depressed because of it.
How many of those kids? How many?
A psychologist,
How
by
many
the way.
over the course of 5 years?
Well, tell me.
You tell me.
Tell me.
Just give me
I know
a
what you're trying to do.
ballpark.
You're trying to put me in this chokehold of like,
No, I'm
I
not trying
got
to
you
put you in a
moment.
choke. No.
Damn, that's crazy. He's trying to figure out if you're just making shit up. So he's trying to like allow you to hang yourself with a length of rope. That's crazy. Dude, it is actually like so incredibly frustrating the degree to which conservatives openly do not believe anything. Okay.
No, this is definitely an I got you moment because I'm suggesting to you that you think this problem is much bigger than it is.
It is a huge problem.
Okay.
Medi-Cal, you know, Medi-Cal covers inmate trans women.
I understand that, yes. And I know one person has had that surgery.
I don't understand how my taxes should go for an inmate prisoner who wants to transition.
Well, I think because we got to do...
Because we fund prisons, dumbass. Then watch him say, like, we pay taxes for prisons, and then the guy's like, that's not true. You're making that up. Okay, cool. Do some of this. This should win, I think. if I wanted to really optimize, I'd put the blueprint here before the round starts.
Healthcare for prisoners.
Gavin
And you
Newsom,
don't
In fact, let me
consider
do
real
that.
healthcare. Well,
Gavin
hold on, I
Newsom
don't wanna
has
get-
imposed
listen,
$2.6
It's
billion in
900 kids
2022.
over 5 years.
That is a lot of
receive
children.
Puberty blockers.
That is a lot of
That is not a lot. What? That's a lot of children in America, where there's 100 million children. 900 over 5 years. You know how many kids are born every year? These guys get me in. These guys again, they're fucking getting me in a state. Also, incredible draw. It's always save the children, and then they don't even give them a free lunch. Yeah, because what they mean is save the children so we can sexually abuse them and rape them later. They've already given the game away to that effect. Remember, like they said that, like, oh yeah, it's all about like identifying the sex characteristics, and then now they're like, save the kids. I wonder if there's any connective tissue between obsessing over sex characteristics and simultaneously also kids at the same time. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I feel like there might be some something there. Just a crazy feeling off the top of my head. Also, an incredible tarot pack. Hello? This build is kind of taken off. We have a death, so I can just, yeah.
Children.
900
AB
kids over
547
5 years.
just
Do you know how
passed,
many-
including
do you know how
gender
many kids died
identity,
during
gender
COVID?
identity
All right.
to allow children
10
to be.
Should I just skip this? I am actually seriously considering just skipping this.
kids a
separated
month.
All right, skip,
Labor
skip.
Bureau. How is he?
Wait.
Gender,
gun-
Oh, dude, they got the fact check on deck? All right, let's check this out. SAN fact check. This is the sponsor bit. Data compiled by Reuters and the health technology company Komodo found that from 2017 to 2021, so a 4-year period, 4,780 adolescents started puberty blockers and had a gender dysphoria diagnosis. A new study from JAMA Pediatrics, found that, that only 0.1% of young patients in the study were transgender and prescribed puberty blockers or hormone therapy. Wait, what is it saying here? Wait, these are non sequiturs. Is this even talking about the same thing? Guys, I think Jubilee might be part of the enabling fascism pipeline. Crazy thought, but I'm not sure. Hold on. Komodo found that this many adolescents started puberty blockers and had a gender dysphoria diagnosis. Oh yeah, okay, so they're trying to construct the narrative. This data is just wrong. Like, they're making shit up here again. At least I'm pretty sure, because I've seen the data. Spent $3 to get $1. I'm silly. Alright. Let's kill these. Make this 2 into glass. Then send it. Yeah, no, they're just lying. It's a lie by omission, because any part of like those sets of facts might be correct, but it's still a lie.
But here's the point.
Let's
Listen,
rewind.
Trump is, how is he hurting these people? He just rescinded the ability of the Labor
Finally,
Bureau
get some money.
to investigate discrimination in workplace. Are you for trans people being discriminated in workplace?
They're never being discriminated.
Are
Hold on.
you for trans
You
people
asked-
being
so let
discriminated
me-
with
I'm
housing?
very passionate about that question, and can I answer it? Okay, so I believe that affirmative action should be.
It's not.
Whoa! Can I answer that question? Let me instead pivot to an entirely different thing. This shit ass panel. I'm skipping through this. Oh, they were saying that out of all their patients, 0.1% were trans teens getting therapy. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. So then, yeah, in that case, that supports the argument that, like, me and Sam would make here, that, like, this is actually an incredibly small minority of people, right? Even 4,000 kids, that is not a lot. It's really not. I'm gonna pick this up because it is polychrome at the very least. Great purchasing order. I have money now.
Find out they're trans.
Okay, well, hold on a minute. So when you hire someone or when you interview someone, for example,
I'm skipping through this. Listen to this video making me sad. Well, don't fall for that, because that's exactly what the intended effect is. Because Jubilee is part of the like the fucking content mill that's meant to like enable the right-wing machine and whatever. It is to the benefit of the right wing that you feel sad watching this. You should feel mad and angry that these people are such fucking morons. And remember too, this group of people was pre-selected for to get the like most engagement possible. Like engagement bait is a factor here. You know? If I find an oops all sixes, I'll replace this tarot card guy. Don't care for that. Don't care for that. I don't think I care about strength, actually, either. Found a video where all the Republicans were media trained. Yeah, I was saying that earlier. I bet you could look into any one of these people, and they would be, like, some fucking media-trained conservative thought gurus from TikTok or whatever the fuck, you know?
you are supposed to interview them based on their knowledge and their work ethic, not based on
I'm
status.
not
We're
saying
back
it's
on
based
this
their
now?
sexual Are you allowed to fire them if you find out they're trans?
If you need to, then you should.
If you need to, well, you're trans, so I have no choice but to fire you. What the fuck? These people are just pro-discrimination. Why did I do that? Okay, whatever. Money? Why I did that? Get this shit out of here. This boss blind actually might kill me. We'll have to see. Especially with bloodstone hits like that. Wow. Okay, never mind. We're good. We're good. Not if I play that hand, we're not.
Should. If you need to, then you should.
So we have a disagreement. I don't believe people should be discriminated.
I feel like victim blaming should be illegal. I don't think so. But it is an extremely shitty thing to do.
Against.
Pause.
And that's not discrimination. It's based on your knowledge, not what you sleep with, not who you sleep with. Just saying.
All right, let's okay, so he just said a whole lot of nothing, and then they clapped like seals because they're all retarded. Okay, I think I know what I have to do. I should have duplicated this when I selected. Yeah, whatever. No, it should be. Yeah.
Hi.
Hit a nice draw.
So I actually think that this liberal world order needs to be thrown away completely, and I think Christian nationalism would be a good alternative. What we're seeing right now.
Well, you know, it's refreshing to see somebody just dropping the mask entirely and not even putting up the liberal affect. You know, that's at least kind of nice.
Now it's
And
just
congratulations.
Yeah, and thank you. And
Yeah. Yeah, at least we're genuine in our desire to beat you to death. Okay. Let's do this. And then I'm going to actually sell this guy, because when I sell this, I want it to duplicate one of these. So then I'm going to do this. Yeah. I really need that oops all sixes. I really need it.
yeah, I think What we're seeing right now is a culture of death. This is the most suicidal generation ever.
What?
We have millions of...
This is a niche Republican talking point that I haven't heard in a while. Okay, that's not a bad hit. It's at least guaranteed. I would like parts, if possible. Sounds like a self-report? Yeah.
Of children dying by abortion. People aren't even reproducing. We don't even have like
I could take this just for now.
Should we mandate people reproduce?
No, I don't think we need to mandate. We can just stop them from killing their kids. There
So
are like...
you want to outlaw abortion?
Yes.
What? Oh, abortion. This is actually,
Yes, I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, abortion is such a fucking boring topic in politics because nobody, like, cares. None of them know what they're talking about, nor do they care. Okay, that's a lot better scoring.
We have a fundamental disagreement on this, and my claim was that if you voted for Trump, it would be to your benefit if you want to outlaw abortion.
I think it would benefit everyone.
Yeah, I disagree. I think that that women should have the right to choose.
I think that it would benefit everyone to bring back the family unit, to stop having women just thrown into the workforce.
Maybe we shouldn't allow women to choose to divorce unless their husbands say it's okay.
I mean, I don't really believe in divorce in general, so, like, sure.
Oh, okay, so he's like saying, so why don't we just make women second-class citizens? Is that what you want? And then she's like, yeah, that sounds good, actually. He's like, oh, well, fucking, all right, I give up. You know, you're just a moron.
Right,
It's always the family. Yeah, it is always paterfamilias. She's just the most open with it. She's just the most willing to acknowledge that, I think. Do I want a blue seal or a red seal? Probably blue seal, right? Do something like this. Please have a heart? Yes. Alright, I'm gonna stop adding cards to the deck now.
This, I think, though, reinforces my point that
the reason why gangsters talk about the family, that is partially true, yeah.
If you are
But it would be better for society. It would be better for everybody in society.
No.
Same with xenophobic national. Like, what's the problem with xenophobic nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans?
We found
in
it.
general? Like
xenophobic.
Yes.
Let's go,
We should
baby.
have a coherent culture.
All right.
Everyone should be a part of the same culture. We should have a similar.
Everybody should be part of the same culture. Fucking using race dog whistle talking points in this fucking audience where I'm almost positive there's been like a Hispanic guy, a black guy, a white woman, a queer man. Cinema. Alright, let's send it. This makes it so that this Joker is guaranteed to hit every time, and yeah, so now I get 500,000. Okay, we're chilling.
Which, do you get to choose what the culture is?
We already have a dominant culture.
What is
based
the dominant
on
culture?
European and Christian values and identity. That is a dominant culture.
White
It's
Christian-
rooted in
All these
European
are-
identity.
We had the whole conservative circle, yeah. All these are good choices, actually, these tarot cards. I'll just do this. Also, good tarot cards. Alright, let's see what's up. Ooh. Okay, first, I'm gonna make some lucky cards. Then I'm gonna use the death. Then I will use this. Nice.
White. So your argument is that
That has been the dominant culture.
Just to be
and
clear,
we're not letting people assimilate to that. We're saying
So he's just saying, like, so you mean white culture? And she's like, yeah. It's like, okay, great, cool.
to keep your culture, and this is why our culture is so divided.
Your argument is that Trump is good for those who want a dominant white European culture.
I mean, that is what America is. It's rooted in Europe.
Look, it is correct descriptively speaking that those are the cultural origins of the United States, of America. It is incorrect as a prescriptive argument. Like, yeah, that's where we come from. Therefore, we should continue to be white supremacists, actually. This is just the way that conservatives reframe white supremacy as being something good. And let's do some of this. Yeah, most honest... We found it. The actual most honest Republican. I'm pretty much just looking for this. Ooh. All cards debuffed until one Joker is sold. Probably would sell the tribe for that. We grew out of that mostly. No, we didn't.
European identity and Christian values. That's what it has been. Would you really disagree
Too
with
lazy
that?
to move those to be optimal.
What is it then, if that's not the identity of America?
Well, I think the identity of
For the
America...
majority of time, America's been a country. You don't think that's...
Oh, okay. She's saying like,
Well,
for the majority of America's existence, it has been a like white nationalist, white supremacist project, which is true. Death to America, caca. Of course, but the way that she's saying this, she's like, yeah, America's white supremacist, and that's good actually, because white people are superior. Like, bro. So true. This is just like X-Men 97. All right. What do I want to do here? Probably get rid of those. Do that, and then get rid of these. Okay. I want to save that too.
Actually, no. I think actually the identity of America has been, you know, for better or for worse, a melting pot in that regard.
Yeah, maybe since like the...
I mean, that is also true. You know, it's possible for both of those things to be true at once. That America was a very white supremacist nation-building project at the outset, in a lot of ways, but also in the sense that it was intended to be a cultural melting pot. They just thought that like white people were the best, and that was reflected very frequently in American institutions. But these aren't descriptively opposed talking points. What they are is prescriptively opposed. You know? Does that make sense? Yeah, and of course, where's, like, they always do the whole, like, oh, what did the founders want? Fuck what the founders want. What's good
even
for,
then, like, even we
like,
had
good
this idea of-
outcomes?
A melting pot
you know?
literally means assimilation, too. It means melting. It means you're assimilating to the dominant culture. Is that not what melting means?
No, actually, that's not what a cultural melting pot is. It means that there are a lot of different cultures in America.
And now instead we're saying...
These people, she mentioned the culture of death. This is the culture of death. They want America to be fucking boring.
There's
you know?
xenophobic...
Glad she's fated to lose. Yeah, hopefully she just fucking crashes out and we don't have to be subjected to this.
I mean, look, I gotta be
longer.
honest with you, like, you and I have a fundamental disagreement. We will never see eye to eye on this. It's a choice. And people, I think what you're expressing, though, is...
Oh, yeah, her ideology. Yes, it is good for all of us that the ideology of fascism is so unstable that it will eventually peter out and just fucking die. I think it needs to do that with liberalism. Yeah, it's not, you know... Am I in favor of letting women speak? Yes. Am I in favor of letting this woman speak? No. Women should have rights, but not this woman.
Really what the Trump movement at its heart is about. And I think that's problematic.
I disagree.
Clip that shit, by the way.
I don't think Trump's like anywhere close to being a Christian nationalist. That's ridiculous. Like, Trump's basically a Democrat from like 15 years ago when it comes to social issues.
So you don't think that he's...
Me when I just make shit up?
Conservative enough for you?
Oh, definitely. Nowhere close. No.
He's not xenophobic enough for you?
No, he's trying to pour a bunch of H-1Bs. Are you kidding?
Right. Oh, so you want to get them out too? Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're making my argument for me.
All right. Well, okay. I'm just saying he's not even in here. Okay.
Replayed card.
My next claim is the GOP will destroy Social Security and healthcare.
Not enough red flags? Yeah, true. GOP will destroy... They've said that they want to do this. She didn't get voted out? True! She's the only person that so far hasn't been voted out. GOP will destroy... I mean, anybody who contradicts this is just, like, lying to cover for the GOP. Also, I'm probably not going to be able to do this whole thing in one sitting. Oh, it's this guy again.
So, what if Social Security should go away?
Perfect, no notes. The GOP is going to destroy the social safety net. And then this guy's like, yeah, but what if that's good, actually? All right, I know exactly how this is going to go. Sam is going to fucking give this guy a PhD level lecture on how Social Security works and why it's good that seniors will get money, actually. And this guy's going to be like, nuh-uh. Also, Republicans don't want to do that, but also, what if it would be good if they did that, actually? And he's going to lie, and nobody's going to give a shit about what they're saying. How's the most psychotic person always the fastest? Because they're fucking ready to go, dude. At this rate, I expect one of them to say, let's kill the poor. I mean, basically. I'm not sticking around to find out, actually. Fast forward, not interested, not interested. Sam is a Giga Chad. I'm really not interested in, letting conservatives speak. I am so pro-free speech that I will let them speak into the void all they want, and I will simply turn the other way not to listen, because I don't have to.
Regardless of what happens with the stock market.
Okay.
Because like they are free to speak, I am free not to listen to them.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Okay. Actually, I am morbidly curious. What were they talking about at the end?
176,000. That's the cap. If you
Okay, yeah. I do. Okay, here's the thing. One thing I will say about this guy, it seems like, look at the beginning, they're talking about Social Security. Look at the end, they're talking about Social Security. If he managed to stay on topic the whole way through, I do kind of respect that. It's extremely easy just in general to like get distracted. Also, what the fuck hand do I play towards when I'm all I have is popcorn and Space Joker, and I don't want to pick up a permanent hiker. Okay. Play towards a 3 of a kind, I guess. Make another 5. Hey, there we go. 3. What do I not have that many of? I guess I'll just play that. I don't know this game. Don't ask questions. It's a rhetorical question. This is just poker, but like roguelike version. I guess I sell out of you to pick you up. Probably. Just for now. There's a 2. Yeah. Was at school in a red state, you can tell all the kids here are dead inside. They look like zombies even when I try to start conversations. Yeah, life in a red state fucking sucks. You know? Yeah, queen. I think I want to hold out for another 4, maybe? Hello? I have to play high card? Also sounds like Southern Ontario. Many such cases.
Hey, my God. Sam, nice to meet you.
There's an idea that you
he upgraded to a
have
kind.
that
Thank you,
basically
Space Joker.
government can kind of fix all these problems, right? If you didn't save for retirement, well, then the government can just come in.
Yeah, that's what government is for, you fucking moron. I love that. You expect government to fix your problems? Well, your problems are actually immutable parts of the world, and you have to deal with them yourself. So much so that we are literally going to dedicate massive amounts of political resources to take away the ability of the government to solve those problems where it was already doing so. Great, thank you. I'll just level up high card, I guess.
Swoop in and save you from
Well, not
that.
swoop in. It starts on the...
You know what? Yes, actually. I do want the long arm of the state to fucking come in like a helicopter, descend, and give every citizen like $10,000 or some shit every year for the rest of their, retirement life. Yes, because we can do that. So why don't we just fucking do that? You know? Paying for people's retirement is good, actually. Yeah, why the fuck else does government exist if not to solve societal problems? And we will make the billionaires pay for it, of course. I'll take this up just because it's a little bit of direction, but walkie-talkie is not that good. Unless I pull 4s immediately. This has also been a really good Space Joker. Hello? 4s? 4s? If the government went after rich people money, it'd be one of the most profitable things you've ever seen. Oh, yeah, and that's exactly... It's all the shit that conservatives want to get rid of. Like, the IRS... When the IRS has more money, they go after rich people. I've talked about this before. A very lesser-known video on my channel. that when the IRS goes after rich people, they get fucking $6 back for every dollar they spend. Literally like 7 times, like, or I guess they spend $1, they get $7. So there's a $6 return on every dollar that they spend, you know? The government would be fucking swimming in money if they just went after rich people's taxes. Like, it is that easy.
Literally the day you get your Social Security.
Sure. It swoops in once you retire, right? Once you can.
Well, you pay
once you
into
can.
it.
Right, exactly. And so you believe this idea, basically, that government is an effective organization, which it does time and time again. If you look at history.
Oh, so he's making the argument that, like, yeah, such and such things should happen, but they should be the private sector, which is fucking stupid.
That's proven to not.
This is literally the run government like a business thing, when the government is currently being run like a business, and fucking everything is decaying. Society is falling apart. This is a bad Joker for what I have right now.
Not be true.
When you're hitting at retirement, you don't know. This is an insurance program. That's it. It's an insurance program, and it basically says you're insured against eating cat food when you're 65, and it works. It works.
That's true.
No, it doesn't. You should have, well, one.
No, actually it does. It's just not large enough. Literally, the only ways in which Social Security falls short are the ways in which it has been specifically engineered to fall short so that it works worse. Like, the only ways in which Social Security doesn't work are ways that Republicans have intentionally sabotaged it to make it not work. I didn't draw a single 8 or 9? Excuse me? What is going on? I still have 2 9s and 2 8s in my deck. Oh my fucking god, dude. I'm gonna crash out. I'm dead because of bad draws. Or not.
You should have your own personal...
How doesn't it work?
How doesn't it work?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've already discussed the details of how it is just completely failing as a program. Like,
well, how is it failing?
Because Republicans made it fail. Or also, I think this must have been, like, Sam probably already talked about the talking points about the insolvency of Social Security actually being the trust fund or whatever else, right? But, like, at a fundamental level, Social Security fucking works.
Because I'm not going to receive any Social Security.
Yeah, if there was more money pouring into Social Security, it actually would not matter how, like, inefficient it is, because there's so much fucking money. You would have to, like, really try to fuck it up, you know? I don't want any of those. Money? Punished. My luck has not been good this round, despite me getting to a decent stage of the run. Hello?
I've already told you right now.
I know. I'm not going to rehash out that debate.
Well,
the main
look
issue.
at the numbers. You've just been told this, and you know why you've been told it? Is because they want to raid it to give tax cuts to rich people. That's why.
So are you saying there are the Trump tax cuts were only for rich people? You're saying
No,
people...
I'm not saying they're only for rich people.
Oh, okay. Then how could
rich
they
people
only...
benefited more from it than low-income people? And I would say...
what do you mean benefited more from that? Because we already went over the...
What do you fucking mean, what do you mean? It means that they got more money from those tax cuts than poor people did. Do you not understand language? Also, I'm fucking dead? Maybe? Or maybe not. I'm dead, yeah. Super ironic, after all this is done, America becomes a third world country. Another country. I mean, we already are. You can look at the living standards in places like West Virginia. America's already, like, a really bad place to live for certain material markers.
The percentage numbers, and we know that's not true.
They don't need the money as much, and they don't need it.
What are you talking about? These rich people are the people that are investing in smaller businesses.
Nah, dog. Oh my god. I can't... Oh, there's walkie-talkie again. I can't fucking deal with people like this, dude. When rich people have money, you know what they do with it? Jack shit. because they're rich. They already have money. What are they going to do with more of it? There's only so much you can spend that much money on. And a lot, you know, and that's not even to mention that, like, there's a lot of money that isn't liquid, and it gets to the point where, like, money is more so measured in abstract wealth terms, where, like, where it's more a representation of your political standing and how much power you have in society, that sort of shit. These draws are kind of ass. All right, there we go. Like, you can literally look at the accumulation of wealth, and it's evident. You can look at the growing gap between the net earnings and wealth controlled by wealthy people versus the wealth controlled by the rest of society, and it is abundantly clear that rich people are just sitting on that money. Like, they're not doing anything with it because they can't do anything. They have so much money, they literally don't know what to do with it. What do you do when you have actual billions of dollars? Dragons are an allegory for rich people, that I've just realized. But I like dragons. Yeah. Yeah, the dragon protecting their hoard of wealth. Because that's how riches used to work. It would literally be a giant pile of gold.
These are the people.
Anyways, I forgot that I was, like, skipping through this because these people don't care about what they're saying, so I don't care either. It's like that AI art bullshit, where it's like, you know, oh, this AI created this video. Like, you should watch it. Why would I bother to watch a video that nobody bothered to make? You know, like, why would I look at a picture that nobody bothered to draw? Why would I care about a photograph nobody bothered to take? Why would I read a story that nobody cared enough to write? You know? I know I sold out of the card sharp there, but I actually do want to play towards this walkie-talkie. AI videos are cursed. Yeah, they are.
Jobs to allow
I've seen, like, a VFX breakdown of AI videos. You can immediately tell like, what is an AI image or video, because it's like nothing really happens in the video, you know? Turn that into a 10. I would like a good times mult joker, but you can't always get what you want. Well, there's a full house. Can't wait to see your clip analyzing Invincible if we're talking about media. Might not make a video on it, mind you. Give me another 4. I said give me another 4. There's another 4.
To provide for their family.
Okay, what
Okay,
listen,
pause. Pause.
So he's done.
So, good to be back.
I might be playing towards 4s particularly. I don't know. Re-trigger each 2, 3, 4, or 5. Let's see what's in here first. Hangman. I think I need this. Well, okay, thank you. Cool. Alright, I think I hold off on that then. I don't have enough money to care about that. 4 of a kind. Let's see what this looks like.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
I will have a couple of things to say about it. I'm not going to make a video out.
Not a little bit.
Okay.
So obviously you're pinpointing on Social Security.
That wasn't what I was saying. I'm definitely I would have enough to say about it to make a video out of it. I just might not want to.
And healthcare too.
Oh, okay, but Social
It's
Security
just a personal
is the
preference
program that you're very concerned about, and that.
Medicare. I'd love a Medicare for all program, but go ahead.
Yes, so I think the reason you're focusing on Social Security precisely is because Social Security is the most successful in a shadow of social welfare programs and government spending. That it's like the Democrats.
It's also the biggest bucket of money.
It is the biggest bucket, but the Democrats have these social programs and this deficit spending, and it just never ends. It's never.
Okay, I'm gonna address the argument about deficit spending once, and then I'm gonna probably skip because I've already talked about all of this shit. Deficit spending is a fucking construct. It's not real. You can do it. You can literally do it infinitely because money is made up. And in fact, when you're willing to deficit spend on shit, that means you're also willing to like invest a shitload of money into essential sectors. And society benefits when you do that. Literally everything gets better when you are willing to deficit spend on shit that's worth it in the long run. And the mentalities of people like this, when they say, oh, we have to get rid of all these social programs that benefit everybody because of deficit spending, this is what leads societies to ruin every single fucking time. The hollowing out of civil society means the hollowing out of civil society. I'll sell this and use this as enough money.
So you're
anyways, I'm really not interested in what this guy has to say. According to the Treasury Department, oh boy, another Jubilee propaganda fact check. According to the Treasury, government spending is equal to 23% of GDP in 2024. In World War II, it peaked at 40%. Oh, okay. In the most recent peak was 31% of GDP in 2020 at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, okay, that's actually useful information then. I knew that statistic already, but I'm surprised that they actually were saying like, hey, spending tends to be high when like times are tough. You know, when times are tough, the government starts spending money to make times less tough. Because wouldn't you fucking know it, government exists to solve problems, actually. That's why we created that shit. That's why people invented that shit. In addition to the whole motivation of, like, accumulating wealth at the very top, there were also a lot of social movements from a progressive angle that have been like, we should have a government that solves problems, actually, sometimes. And sometimes governments actually do, in fact, do that. You know. But they do that by spending money. Because money is just a representation of resources and other forms of political influence.
Really,
so are you worried about the tax cuts and what that does to the debt and deficit?
The tax cuts increased revenue.
No.
Yes.
No, they didn't. Objectively, they didn't. The deficit, like, if you're worried about the national debt and the deficit, which you shouldn't be, but like, if you are, then those two things fucking ballooned when the tax cuts came down, because in order to justify the tax cuts on a balance sheet, money was cut from other things, from social programs. I think this kills me. Unless I have 3 10s and 2 4s. And I hit none of them? Alright, I'm going back to the beginning of this.
I want to tell you about Kansas.
Okay, tell me about Kansas.
Let's fast forward. Something. Sam is correct. I don't care. Look, I know that people are going to be, like, kind of upset at me fast forwarding through this, but I really do not, like, again, none of these conservatives care about what they're saying, so why should I care about what they're saying? Sam is just going to say some shit that's objectively correct and based, and also he's extremely handsome. Holy shit. You guys should all go watch The Majority Report with Sam Seder. And then we're all going to move on with our lives with fewer brain cells and a deepened understanding of how fucking moronic conservatives are. That's what this is.
Their education
Reality
system.
is against.
What is this? More fun fact check. Kansas enacted tax and spending cuts in 2012, 20, and 2013. Brownback argued that this fiscal potion would generate an explosion of economic growth, but overall growth and job creation in Kansas underperformed both the national economy and neighboring states. Basically, they cut taxes, and Kansas's economy started to stagnate relative to its neighbors and relative to, like, the United States largely.
2016.
I am actually genuinely surprised to see them put out something that's like, yeah, tax cuts are just bad. Don't do it.
Let's look at the numbers. The numbers. Republican. It was.
Republican, good. A Democrat, bad. That's it. That's all these people know how to do.
Yes.
No, that's where you're.
This is more of them just being confidently wrong about everything. Like, legitimately, I've yet to see, like, there are certain ideological takes where I've like been like, oh, I don't 100% agree with Sam Seder. He's yet to say a factual thing that has been incorrect, like, in the fucking time that I've seen him on his show or anything. My man
causation
is, like, the most Poindexter out there.
With correlation, because Obama's economic recovery was way too slow, and I agree with you on that.
Way too slow.
Way too slow.
When you have tons of stimulus, what you're doing is you're creating the Great Depression for the bottom 90%.
No, the stimulus spending is actually what saved the United States from the Great Depression being even worse than it could have been. Also, I drew everything except hearts, apparently. The reason that the economic recovery wasn't as good in 2008 as it was in the 1930s and 40s is actually because we didn't spend enough on the working class. We put too much money into the banks and the owning class. All right, thank you, Gold Joker. Very cool. I'll take this, I guess. Good mult early.
All the assets inflate.
Finance bro shit. Don't care. Sam is objectively correct and based. Conservatives laughing because they're all fucking stupid orangutans. Can I get a full house, please? I would like a full house. I am not getting a full house. I got a full house.
There is no free market.
Well, there's not anymore.
Free market fundamentalism. Whenever you hear the term free market, look for the guy with a gun. He's not very far away. Ooh. Wheel me? Okay.
No, there's never.
All right. Markets are unfree because of Joe Biden's America, something, even though life for the working class objectively improved during Joe Biden's presidency because he was pro-union. Yeah, we all know the drill. Let's start making these queens into lucky cards. I think I'm gonna, in lieu of some
people making
straightforward direction, I'll probably do that. Also, I think I got both mult hits, which is really funny.
Now we don't even know, most people don't even know that it's just a base tax. Why? Because the
what? Probably he's talking about some tax shit that probably isn't true. Sam Seder is objectively correct. Again, he's probably going to talk about the tax code in more specific terms than I can manage. But I don't care to subject my brain to more of conservatism, so I'm not gonna worry about that too much. Oh wow! In 2024, the U.S. Government's spending was estimated to be about 38% of the gross domestic product. However, welfare only accounts for about 7% of government spending, excluding health insurance, because health insurance is private. How about that? Ooh, I could pick 2 of these.
And the black community is still living in poverty.
What programs are you talking about that are geared towards the black community? We in 2021,
what do you mean, what programs?
we expended.
Do I have any
in
love
2021.
No,
what do you mean? What program? How much money is enough?
In
when is it enough?
2021,
You have the richest country.
How much money is enough? They really just don't like the concept of the government acting to solve any problem ever. I could make more cards of a given suit. Wheel me? Okay, no. If I want to play towards this guy, which I could do, but don't know how good of an idea it would be. I mean, I guess, you know, flaunt it if you got it, right?
In the world.
We offered $300.
Well,
it's just insane.
Game is rewarding me for my shit-ass decision-making.
To me, like...
I don't care. Ooh, another fun fact check. This is probably them talking about the child tax credit, in which case, again, Sam is objectively correct. Because he is pro-child tax credit, actually. child poverty in 2021 fell to 5.2%, the lowest rate on record according to Census Bureau measures. The child poverty rate was cut almost in half by the previous year's rate of 9.7%. The decline in child poverty was driven primarily by the expanded child tax credit included in the American Rescue Plan. Unironically, Joe Biden's America. Thank you, Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Okay. I'm probably going to start going for high straights, which means I'm going to start cutting the 8s, and I'm going to start cutting the mid cards. So 6, 7s, and 8s, I think. So I'm going to do... First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make an ace. And I'll use this again. Open this.
45%. By 45%, but because no...
Use that to make a king. Right? And then strengthen these to be a 9 and a 10, respectively, I think. Yeah. I want to have a lot of 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. And as long as I'm playing straights, I might as well pick that guy up, too. Ooh. It's actually a pretty good econ joker.
Republican would join the Democrats, and Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin voted against this provision in Build Back. I'm talking 2021. From 2021 to 2022, we cut child poverty in this country by 45%. Look it up.
I feel like when I look at it,
I guarantee you, I will give you my phone number. You call me if I was wrong.
See, this guy's not like... Sam is like fucking taking a stand here because again, the principal difference, obviously we all know that Sam Seder is going to be correct. It like almost doesn't even matter what the subject of discussion is. Sam Seder is going to be correct. These bloviating fucks are not going to be. The difference is, again, the thing that I think is worth highlighting, Sam Seder believes what he's saying and they don't. Even if they're like acting like they believe it, they don't, if that makes sense. It's just like, they're just fucking terminally insincere, and I don't care for it. All right. Moving on to the next claim, looks like.
The next claim is Trump's policies make the rich richer and the working class poorer.
Okay. I mean, yeah. That's just, I mean, he wouldn't be Trump if it wasn't like that, you know? Ace 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ace. Thank you. Oh. Here, let's just focus on getting these out of the pool. Alright, got a queen. Let's make these into lucky cards. Watch them now refute this. Be like, nuh-uh. I guarantee that's the only thing they can come up with, too.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man, this guy looks like fucking... This guy has crypto bro phrenology. Of course he runs up to the plate. God damn.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so do you mind if I ask what policies in specific are you referencing to?
Tax cuts for the rich. I think his idea of tariffs on countries and the way that he's talking about will make people poorer.
All right.
I think all the work that they're doing in terms of attacking the government agencies
One more queens and jacks
will make people
right
poorer. Because, you know, when you get agencies that are supposed to protect us from corporate interests, they will externalize their costs, those corporations, instead of actually assuming themselves. So their profits are made on the backs of all of us, whether it's our health,
I think I'm actually going to take this egg.
protection from consumer rights, worker rights. His anti-union policies will make us poorer.
So real quick, I'm going to touch on one of the things that you said. Now, there was a lot to unpack there, but
There's
we'll
a lot
start,
of policies.
we'll start at the very beginning. You talked about taxes. Let's talk about, in his first term, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017.
Hey, there we go.
There were a couple things in that specific policy that actually do benefit the middle class and the lower class more than the top 1%. So you mentioned tax.
He's going to bring up like the tax cuts on the middle and working classes, which are temporary, by the way. In fact, I think they're set to expire this year. So the only people that got permanent tax cuts as a result of that, bill that became law are the wealthy. So literally, it benefited the wealthy for an infinite amount of time. Even if you assume a flat benefit, which is not the case, but you know you could assume that if you wanted to. Even if you assume that, the wealthy benefited for an infinite amount of time, and the working and middle class benefited for a much more finite amount of time, which means that the wealthy benefited more than the working class. But again, as I have said before, and I will restate right now, these people don't give two fucks about what they're saying because they don't believe in anything.
Taxes, right? But in that, from the IRS data that came out, the middle class and lower class got affected. I think they really care about.
Yeah, see, even this fact check is misleading. Americans making 50 to 100K saw their average federal tax liability drop by 13% from 2017 to 18, while Americans making more than $1 million saw a 6% drop. Guys, would you care to guess what is 13% of 100,000 versus what is 6% of 1 million? 13% of 100,000, just to use flat math, I know it doesn't exactly transpose 1 to 1. 13% of $100,000 is $13,000. 6% of $1 million is $60,000. That's almost, so this 6% to 13%, millionaires in America, even if you're earning $1 million and $0, you benefited almost 5 times as much by somebody in the $100,000 income bracket. This is an extremely misleading way to frame that. I read it out loud. It's way too small for you to see, but that's what's on the screen there. And that 13% is going to go away. Also, I do like that they highlight only a 1-year period. Very content pilled. They are working so hard to make the conservatives look like they are anything other than complete dishonest pieces of shit.
An extra grant.
You know? And that's not even to mention the litany of economic studies that basically say, yeah, dumbass, when you increase taxes, people pay more in taxes, which means when you decrease taxes, people pay less in taxes, which means when you decrease taxes on rich people pay less. No Saturns detected. I'm gonna pick this up in case I find something. I wish I'd seen this earlier, but I'll take it as a utility thing.
Grand or two.
I would say, in terms of the taxes themselves, well, the policies that Trump wants to pursue this time are to expand those taxes for wealthy folks.
Okay.
And over time, what starts to happen is you have this wealth disparity.
Jack,
and as the wealth disparity increases, it becomes harder for working people essentially to keep up. Things become more expensive. You get inflationary pressures when you have people with more money. We have more and more billionaires than we did 4 years ago. And a large part of that was obviously COVID, but a large part of it is also money starts to accelerate. Once you, like you say, when a millionaire gets a tax cut for a couple of grand or 60 grand or $500,000 at the end of the day, they end up investing that and ends up growing because they're not out there working for their money. Their money is just is doing all the work.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think we can agree with you on that when it comes to, you know, billionaires and millionaires and there being a wealth gap in our country, right? I don't think Republicans or liberals would disagree on that, but I think...
I mean, they would. The Republicans would literally deny that the wealth gap exists, or they would say that it's good, actually.
Where we will fundamentally disagree is, under Trump, right, the stats show that take-home pay was higher for the middle class and the lower class. Inflation was down. They weren't...
Not even remotely true. If you compare it, to Joe Biden's administration, then, like, you could average it out to make that kind of true, sort of, under certain circumstances, but there was a whole ass pandemic happening. If you compare it to Obama's administration, there's no fucking comparison.
Weren't paying as much on taxes.
Inflation was down, but wage growth was actually greater during the Biden administration.
Well, that's because due to COVID, when a lot of people lost jobs.
No. I mean, I'm talking in percentage comparison between those 4 years and these past 4 years. Wage growth grew not from as a baseline on 2020, but I'm talking as a baseline from 2016.
Interesting. Okay, well then another point that I want to talk on with you real quick is you talked about slashing government agencies, for instance, the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm sure you've heard about that a lot in the news.
That's not a government agency. That's just some
committee. It actually an executive order was signed.
It's not an agency. That's the agency that's like quote unquote agency whose job it is to gut all the other agencies. Do I have any queens left? I do actually. Let me just play this. Right? Wait. Yeah, okay. I have more queens than I do fours. or that could just win.
And to make Doge an official government agency as of less than a week ago. So yeah, it is an official government agency.
I support all federal agencies except for Doge. Thank you, because I'm a patriotic American that loves my country. All right, card.
So obviously we're
fact check. Okay, it's still not. All right, so he's just lying again. Classic. Me when I lie. Doge is not a full government agency. President Trump reorganized an existing group within the executive office of the president to form Doge, which has team members working with agency heads. So it's just like a weird fucking departmental mishmash of Zoomer Nazis. Great, cool. And base cards are debuffed, eh? Well, it's too bad that's what I'm making my straights with.
We're talking about money.
All right. Don't care, don't care, don't care. This kid is lying. Sam is objectively correct. Either 3 or an 8. That is not a 3, nor is it an 8. Those are also not 3s or 8s. Hello? Okay, or that could just win. All right, nice.
Efficiency.
Is not going to be touched by Doge.
Wrong.
And when you talk about the government, what's the biggest expenditure government has?
Our military and Social Security are our top 2.
And Medicare and Medicaid, right? Now, they're not going to touch the military.
Pentagon is looking for 50 billion budget cuts, roughly 8%. The Defense Department is also cutting 5 to 8% of its workforce. I don't know if that's actually true. If it is true, I'm willing to bet that they like found the fucking. It's possible that it's like has to do with departments or agencies that no longer exist. So it's like basically just a formality that money's going to go away anyway. Need more queens. I can't afford to pick that up. Also, zero shot that they stick to that on, like, actually cutting funding from the fucking Pentagon. Like, nah, dude. Ain't no way. One of the consequences of having a large deck of cards. Can't fucking find a king. There's one. Okay. I need hand size. Or I could just play this full house. Okay.
Part of Doge.
Nobody in here is going to get hit. Because these folks are going to have to pay for their parents because Social Security keeps 2/3 of our elderly out of poverty. So tell me what they're going to cut that's going to make it easier for Americans.
I already did.
What?
I told you the $175 billion that we've sent to Ukraine. We're no longer going to...
Oh, so that's the money he wants to cut. Gotcha. He just wants to make it easier for fascists to... Alright, great. To fucking parade around Europe. Love that. Yeah, I support cutting funding from the Pentagon. I support not supporting Ukraine anymore. Fucking jackass. Let's pick up one of these. Maybe I can make some straight flushes. This would be good if I had anything good, but I don't. Oh, it's not? I'll sell this. Yeah. I don't fucking know, dude. I'm getting plenty of tarot cards, but it's just not enough. Unless... Straight flush? Royal flush, even? Maybe? Give me some malt. Or not. Okay. Hold up. I may be cooking. Or I could just not. Okay. This guy again? Is it, is the same claim, right? This is about, Trump's policies being very beneficial to the wealthy and not beneficial to the working class, presumably.
Okay, so why did we see a higher increase in the top 1% paying as part of federal income revenue under TCJA?
Why did we see a higher increase in the...
So under TCJA, you know, it was passed 2017, it was
Right.
effective 2018. 2018 and onward, we actually saw the top 1% pay more. They had more of the federal income tax burden. They paid 45% as opposed to Obama. During Obama.
That's because what? That's because they amassed more wealth. They had more money to pay. Also, citation needed? They didn't? What? Rich people have never paid so fucking little in taxes as right now. Please refer to any of those studies that when taxes are higher, people fucking pay more money in taxes. Full House? I think this is where I die this run.
Obama.
I mean, that's...
But why are they paying, and why do they get richer? So this goes on inflation that...
I mean, that's my point, is the rich are getting richer.
Right, but why would you say that they're getting richer? But you mentioned inflation? Or,
No, they're not. Well, I mean, I think that inflation, to the extent that there was money that wasn't a function of like logistics and other problems that we had during COVID. Yeah, the rich got richer. Not all inflation is a function of monetary inflation.
That's true, but when we look at COVID and we can see that they increased the money supply by 40%, they added $6 trillion, and you have a Federal Reserve System that's doing quantitative easing and pumping stimulus into the economy, you can attribute that to left-wing policy. The entire Federal Reserve System is...
Dog, when have lefties ever had power in government? Like, Democrats don't fucking count. Their whole business is shutting out the left at a systemic level. I can't deal with this, dude. Get this guy out of my face. I guess I'm playing Bears or something?
Economics. Those are very left-wing...
Well, I can tell...
Yeah,
talk about some monetary theory shit? I don't know. Wow. Yeah, inflation has been getting pretty... Inflation has been increasing in a lot of places. You guys can't see, but it says in a study of advanced economies, which would be like the first world, the inflation rate at least doubled from early 2020 to early 2022 in 37 of 44 countries. In 16 of those countries, the inflation rate quadrupled. And that's actually really indicative of concentration of wealth. Okay. Synergy.
Just
don't care for either of these.
Yeah. Is done.
All right. I don't. Who all is left? Oh, I haven't seen this guy with the weirdo fucking extreme conservative beard come up to the plate. Let's see what he has to say.
Thank you. Seat.
I'm actually just not even going to buy anything here. Discard for 3 of a kind, maybe? Nice.
How's it going, sir?
Good. How you
Ryan.
doing? Sam.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
When you're talking about like inflation, in 2021,
okay.
Janet Yellen said it would be transitory, and then again in 2022 she said it would be transitory, and it turned out to not be transitory.
Money.
And then one major thing happened in 2022. I think we all know what that was. That was the war in Ukraine, and I believe, and I can explain that the war in Ukraine was explicitly caused by Joe Biden's bad foreign policy, and that shut.
All right. We're getting into like fucking lolcow territory. Nobody actually believes this shit. Least of all the people saying it. What a fucking joke, dude. This whole thing has been a joke, and I'm the fucking punchline for watching it. check fixing. Neither of you are small enough hands for me to... I'll pick this up. This is a good econ joker. Clip the low end, probably. Give me some 6s, yes.
Not making the richer, and the rest of us.
Okay, so this guy is just like anti-Ukraine. Like that's this guy's whole shtick. I'm fast forwarding. Is there anything else interesting that happens here? If I'm really like, I don't care for
1
this.
to 2 degrees Celsius in the next 150 years isn't necessarily.
Okay, and then climate denialism is like, no, it's fine actually, despite visible evidence, everything not being fine. I don't think I need to fucking concern myself with what this guy says anymore. Other guys coming back. Sam will now choose a conservative to debate for 10 minutes on a claim of their choosing. Hold up, this could be more interesting.
I choose Ben because he let me lecture him about Social Security.
Oh, let's go.
My claim is that abortion is immoral and should not be legal.
Great, the abortion debate. I don't fucking care.
Don't do that. What's the difference between the arbitrary choice? Would just be.
Do it. I'm sorry. That's time.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, did I watch that? Kind of. Did I care about it? Not really. Is Sam based? Yes. Should you all take away from this that Sam is extremely based, and we love our Uncle Sam? Yes. These conservatives are insufferable. I remember this guy being in some of the background shots. This guy with the red, white, and blue hat. I don't think he ever came up to the chair though to talk about stuff. Yeah, it looks like there are some conservatives here that either didn't talk to Sam, that didn't argue with him about stuff, or maybe they just didn't include. Maybe the footage was a lot longer, and they had to omit some stuff. I don't know. Either way, I've lost too many brain cells to justify this for any longer. Really not interested. I think I'm actually not even gonna finish this Balatro run. I'm literally just gonna pick this guy up, go to the main menu, knowing that it saves my progress, and I got a notepad of here, dude. I can't take it anymore. Nobody's watching. What am I doing with my life? I can't play Retro Rewind. I'm gonna have to figure that one out off stream. I don't even know if I can make this into a segment. I honestly think that I went into this expecting it to be fucking content. Got really mad that conservatives are exactly as retarded as I've always said that they are, and that they don't believe anything. And skipped through an hour and a half of that, only spuriously hitting the play button when I felt I could handle it, then immediately discovered that I can't handle how stupid conservatives are, and concluded that Sam Seder is based and is a way, way more patient person than me for being able to sit in that fucking room for way longer than an hour and a half, if the cuts are and editing are any indication, and debate these fucks who just transparently don't believe anything. But I think that there is some utility in this panel having happened, and that is as a public humiliation ritual for conservatives. Obviously, they're gonna, like, say, haha, I won this interaction, but nobody's going to be able to say that, like, oh, they really showed up Sam Seder and shit like that. Like, you look at that, and it's clear that Sam Seder is this, like, knowledgeable, silver fox lecturing the dumbest fucks on planet Earth about how, like, Social Security works. You know? I think, basically, I think Sam Seder looked good. I think he mogged everybody, and I think that's what people are going to respond to, is the fact that, like, there was literally a point where that guy with the gold octagon glasses sat down, you know, the guy with the man bun or whatever. He sat down and said, government agencies that get tax cuts for hiring black people. And then Sam told him that government agencies don't pay taxes, so they can't get tax cuts. And he fucking confidently says, "Nuh-uh, that's not true." They're immune to facts, dude. Unironically, if we don't want people like this to continue to exist and drive the fucking political discourse, Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, and basically every mainstream press outlet in America needs to be deleted, and then there needs to be, like, worker-owned news outlets built from the ground up. Because that's how you get shit like this. These people are so media trained and so in the vortex of right-wing propaganda that it's like, what is or isn't true doesn't even matter anymore. There was a complete, like, disengagement. You know, they disengaged. They didn't care about that interaction. So why should I care about it? I already saw all that I needed to see. I saw Sam Seder doing his shit, you know? Like, man. You know? Why should I listen to an argument that the person arguing in is just not even interested in having? You know? Like, the thing that makes debates interesting is that both participants actually care about the subject matter being debated, and they're open to, and like, the debate can actually go somewhere. But there were so many points when there were blatant non sequiturs tossed in, and it didn't help that some of the fact checks from the Jubilee were blatantly biased by the looks of it, especially that tax cut one. That was probably the worst one. But you know, I do reserve some side eye for the fact check that they put for trans youth, because I'm still Chatter said that, like, it was actually saying that, like, only a small degree of like, a very small portion of children were trans children in this very broad-based medical study. But yeah. Look, I really don't know how to conclude this, apart from we all suffered. Or at least I suffered. Everybody else left, which I don't blame them for. There wasn't much to see, ultimately. And it's actually, like, late enough in the day that I'm gonna have to end streaming and just make dinner, so. Thanks for watching, and support the channel if you would be so kind.